mush and you don't know like what you're doing. Yeah.
I didn't have that today or yesterday. I was ready to go. I was ready. I hung out with Republicans for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 straight days. Five of them.
That's too many days.
And one night had a nice conversation around the fire while everybody was hammered. And I talked to a lady who told me that there's no such thing in America as being poor. You're either lazy or you have money. That was her real take on it. You're either lazy or you have money, but there's not like poor. When they say poor, it's just because they want to give people an excuse to be poor. It's like, all right.
No, I mean, yeah, I feel like that is a popular take.
It was. We tried to discuss Walmart, but she'd had too many. But it was a good time. I met somebody. I knew this person. I had no idea they were a writer at the Federalist. So we may have a debate coming up with somebody from the Federalist, or not even a debate, but a discussion, which would be interesting. I don't think he's really a debater.
What were you guys talking about?
Well, we talked about Mitt Romney at first. That's the entry point with all of them. And then he just asked me why I thought we should have universal health care. I told him I didn't think billionaires should exist. I thought our tax policy. He's actually not that far away from me. Like, I think people don't realize sometimes when I say I'm a libertarian socialist, because that's like the closest to what I would be, that like the true people that are like the true libertarians, people who actually have studied it, like they're not that different than leftists. They're actually pretty same. They're like, it's almost the same thing. Libertarian socialists were like a break off from Marx, I think. Is it that I know they were break off from Marx, but their disagreement, and I might be wrong on this, was that Marx wanted a dictator. Is that correct? Do you know?
I don't think
Pretty sure
Marx.
that's
I mean,
correct.
it depends. I've never heard that Marx wanted a dictator.
Wow.
Like that is the differentiation between the left. I was just listening to like psychologist, a political psychologist discuss this. Like any type of authoritarian rule is associated with the right, and if authoritarian rule is claiming to be left, such as the tankies, which are like the the
Yeah.
people who claim to be far left that are propping up, like the Putin apologists is
That's
essentially what they
yeah.
are. They claim to be
Uh,
on the left. Actually, let me see if I can find this video because you'll find
what's
it
his
really
name? That
interesting. And the guy's talking about like they're just masquerading, pretending they're on the left, but authoritarian rule is only associated with the right.
if you guys don't think you've interacted with one of those people, you have. Like, if anybody knows Guy Fawkes on this app, I like Guy, by the way. We've had a lot of good discussions, but like that's who Guy Fawkes is. He says he's like a communist and he's like so far left, but really he's just a tanky. He just like that's like the ticket to communism for him. Red lights are on.
Exactly. I found this so interesting. Oh, here I found it. Listen to this. So the subject is this is again a political psychologist who's talking about are communists right wing, a psychologist like talking about he's specifically going to talk about the
Psychology
tankies.
debunks the myth of left-wing authoritarianism. Hi, my name is Keegan, and I talk about the psychology of politics. For 70 years, political psychology scholars have been on the search for evidence of left-wing authoritarianism. But every time they tried, all they ever found was right-wing authoritarianism. There is no correlation between progressive views and authoritarian tendencies. But there is a mountain of data showing an association between right-wing conservatism and authoritarianism. Even when tankies, people that play defense for the Soviet Empire, are the test subjects, researchers found that they just had the same qualities as right-wing authoritarians. They couldn't find a variable to differentiate them. They have the same submission to authority, aggression against enemies of that authority, and adherence to conventional values. Just replace capitalism with the state running capitalism, Christianity with a cult of personality, and racist tribalism with anti-Western tribalism. So the so-called left-wing authoritarians are just right-wing authoritarians who cloak themselves in leftist rhetoric and symbols in order to convince themselves and the people around them that they're morally superior, but they're just as terrible. Left-wing authoritarianism is a myth. See ya.
That is his name is Keegan Tatum. Keegan
Was that TikTok or
Tatum.
YouTube?
Yeah, that's a TikTok video at Keegan Tatum.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I know. I just found that creator. One of my friends sent it to me. Thanks, Landon. yeah, it's
So
really interesting. I was looking at his account.
yeah, that it is. It's really weird. You'll find guys that are like tankies that say they're so far left, but they're most comfortable in like white nationalist conversations. Like they can sit there and talk with a white nationalist forever because they're almost the same. I did find it the disagreement with libertarian socialists. It was I don't know how to say it, Bakunin. He rejected the call for the dictatorship of the proletariat. That's what it was.
Yeah, which I mean, I assume is what they're talking about. Like when you become a Soviet apologist and you like are okay with the authoritarian rule, which
Right, like they
in
reject
theory, like
a
when you
state.
read communism rejects any type of rule, right? Like, and so, yeah,
Yeah, like libertarian socialism would be left of like just a regular socialist because they don't want the state to exist. So it's much closer to communism. Anyways, that was not on the bingo card today. That wasn't.
I
Please
know.
put together a magnificent outline. I've been reading all morning, and do you want to start with? No, you want to mix it in. I know you want to surprise
Well,
it. You
I
you
want
go
to
ahead and take the lead on where we
well,
go.
first I think we have an emergency that we need to talk about. So,
Oh no.
yeah,
Oh
it
no.
trumps everything else. Yes, there's an emergency, everyone. MAGA prophet Julie needs
Uh
to
oh.
talk to you about the eclipse. This is time sensitive. This is
I
time
haven't seen it
sensitive.
yet.
Everyone needs to hear this immediately
Of course she's
before
here
the
today.
eclipse.
How
MAGA
did we
prophet
not
Julie
know?
has a message about the eclipse.
Good.
And this is going to help us all get through the day. The weird thing about MAGA prophet Julie is she's never predicting things, mostly just fear mongering. Today, I think we're fear mongering about fear, and she's going to say a lot of scary stuff. I think basically she's upset that NASA will be shooting off rockets today that are named after Egyptian gods. And during the
That is that.
eclipse,
Yeah, we shouldn't be doing
that's the
that.
big one. That's a big one. We all need to be worried about that. And CERN is operating today. And it's like, how does she even know what that is? But if you don't know what CERN is,
She doesn't.
underneath the ground in Switzerland is where the Hadron Super Collider is smashing particles together. And she thinks that because they're not taking the day off during the eclipse, the Super Collider is up to something and has a plan. What I think happened, shout out to anyone who's seen Three Body Problem on Netflix. I think MAGA prophet Julie watched Three Body Problem and figured out what a Super Collider is and will not, and now has, put it into her weird fear mongering predictions.
Decided. Well, she'll break it down in a way that makes sense. I'm sure.
And yeah, I mean, it's all going to make perfect sense once you hear it.
When it's darkest, before the dawning, it's always darker. But out of that darkness comes God's light. And God's light will shine even greater than it was before. We are going to pray together today. Destroy the power of fear. We're going to pray against CERN because they're opening it up at the same time as the eclipse.
Watch out for super
They're shooting
colliders.
NASA, shooting rockets in the sky at the same time as the eclipse, named after Egyptian gods. But should we be afraid of those things? No. We should know that what they're doing.
Can I just
You
point
sound
out, do
pretty
you see what
afraid.
she's doing? When I say she's fear mongering about fear, this woman makes a living scaring the out of people on the right and is now like, oh, but we're gonna pray about fear. I make all my money fear mongering and terrifying you guys, and now I'm gonna pretend that we're
Yeah.
gonna pray about it.
When you think about that grift, that's a phenomenal grift, right? You tell them, here's all
She
the
makes
things that
bank.
you should be afraid of, and now we're gonna pray those away, and then and then if the world happens to not explode, they'd be like, fucking Prophet Julie, good thing she warned us, and we prayed about that. That's great news. We saved the world. This is a good grift.
So it said, isn't today the rapture? We can only hope. The rest of us, evidence-based science people, will be left here.
If times ever get real tough, you guys will see me for like 3 straight days on Q-Tops Live, having him tell me all about Jesus, and then I'm gonna turn into a prophet like MAGA Julie. And like, if I ever really, really need money, you'll see me as a Prophet J. Maybe
It's
I'll
not fair how much
team up.
money this woman makes. I'll tell you about that. I can have another story about Mega Prophet Julie after we finish this.
Enemy's got massive amount of things planned today. But what does God keep telling us? The enemies are being cut off. The enemies are destroyed.
Who?
The enemies want you afraid. They want you in panic. They want you focusing on them and what they are going to do. And God is saying, I told you in my word, resist the devil and he what? Must flee.
Oh Jesus, I'm sorry. That's the end of that.
Yeah.
Do you
That
see
is-
the fear mongering and then the projection saying the enemies want you to be afraid? She makes all her money off scaring people.
That's does she have Twitter? I need to be following her. Oh, we lost.
Yeah, just go. She has a website. She has Twitter. I mean, she's very, very popular. Listen to this. So, last week when, I mean, I don't know where you are. I haven't talked to you for a week, but
I was in space the whole week.
I know, exactly. Where MAGA Prophet Julie is. So the earthquake, happened, and I'm immediately like, oh no, you're MAGA Prophet Julie, because she never predicts anything, she just after the fact fearmongers. And so I'm like, let me check in to what MAGA Prophet Julie's doing. And she is on a live stream praying over General Michael Flynn. So they can grift people because he has a new grifty documentary coming out, and he has an entire tour bus and is going to tour the country grifting people and asking for money for his film. And MAGA Prophet Julie was with a group of people praying over him that the grift will go well.
He's been doing this weird thing lately. I think I saw that video where he's in the Adidas tracksuit. I'm pretty sure that's a video. I've seen him in this Adidas tracksuit time after time, and I wonder. To me, I got to get on the QAnon boards. I don't know where they are anymore. I don't know if they're on 8chan. We got to get in. We got to get into QAnon because they're really taking off again. Like we're getting a.
Well,
a second
Michael
wind
Flynn's
of
in
QAnon.
charge. Michael Flynn's in charge of it. Like he does
Yeah.
what do they call them? They call them like Awakening America. And
Yeah.
you know who his little lieutenant is? It's Eric Trump. And
Exactly.
it's the same tour bus they used when they would tour the country for those like awakening QAnon things. Yeah, that's what we're starting leading up to the election. Remember, he did this before the 2022 election. And the tour is starting. Do you remember they would all bring arrows and bang them on the ground?
Is she registered
like-
as a church, by the way? Do you know?
Oh, I'm sure she's a nonprofit. It's called like Julie Green Ministries, I
Yeah.
think. I'm pretty sure. I'm telling you, this woman is making bank and most likely not paying taxes. We should, if she is registered as a 501c3, you can report. There's an IRS form to report people, like churches and stuff.
Yeah, mods. If you find how she's registered, let us know in the mod chat. I want to know how she's registered.
She better
The
not be
nonprofit.
registered
Look
as
at
a
Jeff.
nonprofit.
You see that?
The nonprofit. I just got
That's
that.
beautiful.
That is the
That's
funniest thing
beautiful,
I've
Jeff.
ever heard. That should be. Oh my gosh, we should start an account with that name. That's
Well,
hilarious. And
So enjoy
sorry.
enjoy your day tomorrow, everybody. Thanks to MAGA Prophet Julie, because the world was going to end, but now MAGA Prophet Julie's taking care of this. And thank the good Lord for again sparing Mike Flynn. We desperately need Mike Flynn. He's
well,
very
pray for
important.
Mike Flynn, you guys, because he's starting a new grift, and it's what I mean. Just
And it's
pray.
going to go
Keep him in your
super well,
thoughts.
like all his other grifts go.
You know what I mean? Like they're. I'm sure the Qs are excited for the tour. Like those things were packed, like more than Trump rallies. So I'm sure it will work out just fine for him. The funny thing about that earthquake. Well, this is another thing I don't even know if you're aware of. Do you know like Margarine and her boyfriend Brian Glenn are like all over the internet since the earthquake? Yeah,
No.
this is so embarrassing.
Oh, no.
But they've like joined forces to let everyone know that like
No.
God's pissed. So the first time is after the earthquake. Margarine releases. Oh wait, I think I still have a screenshot. Well, no,
I think
this
you
I just
sent
have the
it to
one
me.
after because yeah, she got community noted, right? Which community notes? Think about it. Elon Musk pretty much allows anything on X, but community notes are created when people are spreading misinformation and disinformation.
Yeah.
And like Margarine's first post is like all this crazy, like this isn't a coincidence, like the eclipse is because God's mad. And then people informed her, that eclipses are pre-scheduled. And that's not what's happening, March. And then like the day, this is like the day of the
Rotating.
earthquake.
It's
The
all
day
it's
of the earthquake,
rotating.
she's
Yeah.
like, see this, like God's mad. And then here's the funniest part of that whole thing. I made a TikTok about it because it's so funny. Oh no, I had got in trouble for it actually. I had to delete it. I
You
got,
did?
yeah,
Did you get
yeah,
hate speech?
because well, no, I'll tell you what happened. Like, Margarine's all like, God's mad. This is not a coincidence. And then I was like, I follow the New York Post on Twitter, and one of their first posts about the earthquake was like, I mean, it's true. The epicenter of that earthquake is Trump National Golf Course. Bedminster is the epicenter. And so I made a TikTok, and I was like, Margarine's right. God's angry and literally trying to unearth Ivana's grave.
That's
Like,
yeah. Isn't that where she's
God is
buried?
trying to shake it loose, yes, so we
He's
can
telling
see
us,
what's
go
in
look.
there.
Go take a peek.
Yes, God, that, I agree with Martin. There is a message there. God is saying, bring the grave up from the
Okay,
earth.
I see it now. God is sending America strong signs to tell us to repent. Earthquakes and eclipses and many more things to come. I don't remember eclipses being in the Bible. Maybe like unless they're saying like that's how the earth turns black, is it just going to be a big eclipse?
Well, there are
But this
stories
is
in the Bible. I'm so sorry. I don't want to explain to people how much I know about the Bible, but like the battle, like the Old Testament, like Joshua, when it's like God, it was like light for longer so they could fight. I think there's like instances when they talk about extended light or extended dark that may reference an eclipse. I don't think Marjorie knows anything about it, but yeah, Jericho. Thank you, Miss Julie.
Miss Jerry, Miss Julie, our resident biblical scholar.
Yeah, exactly. Reform. Me too. Too- and no, so this is the next one. So that was the tweet, like the day of the earthquake. And then, so this is yesterday. Margaret writes, many have mocked and scoffed at this post and even put community notes. Jesus talked about that in Luke
Oh.
chapter 12, 54 through 56. Yes, and so then she admits, because she's been mocked off the internet. Yes, eclipses are predictable and earthquakes happen, and we know when comets are passing by. Oh, that was the other one. She didn't understand that like comets don't just randomly fly by, like we know.
It's not like a
They're on a
train on a schedule.
yeah,
Yeah. On
they're
a,
on a trajectory and like we know where they're moving. She couldn't get that either. She just did not
She
know.
watched
And so
she
she's like,
watched
and
Don't
we
Look
know
Up, and she was like, "Yeah, don't look up." She was on the other side of that movie. She just like, guys, got to keep. Actually,
this woman is in the US Congress. Like keep
she is
saying that.
she is Meryl Streep's character from Don't Look Up. She just didn't get enough power. Like she didn't get to be president, but she's the same person.
Yeah, so it says we know when comets are passing by. However, God created all these things and uses them to be signs for those of us who believe. And it's so I put that in a TikTok but no, it gets worse. So listen to this. This is Marjorie's boyfriend, Brian Glenn, sitting in his car yelling
Good.
conspiracy theories.
Waiting. I heard he was waiting for Marge to pinch off a
Oh,
loaf. I heard that's why he
you're
had to
gonna
sit there. And those were her
you're gonna
words.
love this. You're gonna love this.
I want you guys to have a fantastic weekend, and here's why. This might be the last normal weekend that we have for quite some time. I mean, we've got this solar eclipse on Monday, this very rare solar eclipse. Who knows what the fallout from that will be? Plus, that will be combined with several earthquakes. We've already seen a few already. And why not sprinkle in this infestation of locusts? That have been dormant
Also
for
predicted.
years, and all of a sudden will attack mankind. So why not? Oh, then throw in Joe Biden trying to get into a war with Iran for whatever reason he wants to do that. So on that note, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week, or maybe not.
Or maybe
No!
not, is Brian's message. This is
Not the
Marjorie's
attack
boyfriend.
grasshoppers. Not
This
the
is
attack
Marjorie.
locusts. They're coming,
Yeah.
folks.
And
Oh,
yeah, and
no.
people in the comments were like, locusts don't attack. Being-
You're just afraid of them, dude. That's like when they land on you, they're not attacking. My daughter had one. I have a video of her when she was 2. Like a big grasshopper landed right on her chest, and she just froze and like started shaking. I imagine he has that. By the way, this also has been predicted. I played every summer, like I think in August usually. I played this golf tournament up in Las Vegas, and it's way outside of Vegas, and they get grasshoppers every year at the same time, and they cover the course. But every once in a while, like every like 7 or 8 years, they have this massive influx of grasshoppers because they're cyclical. And that's all that's happening this year. This is also
Well,
predicted. Like there's
just to be
all
clear,
these cycles that are teaming up to
it's
make
yeah.
a grasshopper tornado, I
They
guess.
call it a double brood, and they're not grasshoppers. Like he's not right. He's not. They're not locusts. They're cicadas.
Oh, they're
And
not
this year,
even.
like
Oh, okay.
in yeah, in on number 19 in the outline for articles, and I was
Mormon
like,
crickets.
I put this underneath her post. It's billions of cicadas will emerge in the U.S. this year in a rare double brood event. This year's dual emergence is a rare synchronized event that last occurred in 1803. So this spring, two different broods of cicadas, one that lives on a 13-year cycle and the other that lives on a 17-year cycle, will emerge at the same time from underground in a rare synchronized event. So and here's the best part. This will happen in the Midwest and the Southeast. So if God's punishing anyone, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
That's
I'm
what
trying
it
to
is.
find out if that 1803 was 1848. Somebody had mentioned Mormon crickets, but like there's the state bird of Utah is the seagull, which is fucking
Yeah.
insane, right? Like nobody. But what happened is there was this influx of cicadas or grasshoppers, I can't remember, that was gonna like decimate their crop, and the seagulls came and they're like, God did it, and I always thought that was an amazing story. Like how else could they have gotten there without God sending them? And then I was like, oh, they just follow their food around everywhere. That's why they were there, because that's where the food was. It wasn't a miracle at all. They're just, if you have more cicadas, you have more seagulls. So in Utah, like
Oh, and the
nothing is
Great
more
Salt Lake,
respected.
like a lot
Yeah.
of Utah was underground. Like all the salt flats, like that was one of like the largest lakes, like
It's like
freshwater
Bonneville.
sources in the world.
Yeah.
Or was it even freshwater, or is that why there's salt flats? Was it
No,
salt
it
water?
was, here's a fun fact. It was Lake Bonneville. It took up like most of Nevada, all of Utah, parts of Arizona, and then it
Mm-hmm.
dried up, but it dried up lower than the outlet, so there's no outlet to the Great Salt Lake, only inlets. So all that salt is just built up minerals because there's no outlet. There's no flow.
That's so cool.
That's why the Mormons thought for a long time they had like found a replica of Israel, because you have the Dead Sea and then the River Jordan, and
Oh yeah.
in Utah you have the Great Salt Lake, and they named the river going into it the Jordan River. So they were like, yeah. So they think that they're like
I used to
Jerusalem.
date someone from West Jordan. Long story.
How
I've dated a
long?
lot of people from Utah.
Has it West Jordan? West Jordan could be a tough place. Was he from the streets of West Jordan? It could be a tough place
Yeah.
out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
He
tough.
thought he was. Yeah. He thought
Yeah.
he did for a Utah person. He actually did. Yeah.
I'm
Anyways,
looking
other
at
things going on
cicadas. Those are I think those are way worse than grasshoppers.
Yeah,
They
well,
fly
just when
better.
there's a lot of them and they make lots of noise. Well, what's going on is a mating event, right? Like, so
Oh yeah, it
it's
is.
aggressive and it's
Hell
weird
yeah.
and
This is Woodstock.
but like to say that they attack, like the only thing they want to do is mate once before they, die. I know,
Yeah, don't we all?
like
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's
like
basically
we are
MAGA.
the
That's
aggressors.
that's basically all those MAGA men. They just want just one time before they die. They just want to mate one time.
Any day
And
now,
if we
any
can
day
just
now.
strip all the rights away from these women, then maybe they'll get that one time they've been begging for.
Okay, so other things that happened this morning that we should talk about, like Trump, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, is like teasing that he's gonna have his announcement on abortion, right? Because he has flip-flopped so many times, right? Like, it was, oh, I'm so proud of Roe v. Wade, then it's behind the scenes, and he admitted publicly that they were talking about a 16-week ban, federal ban, and then he was crushed like over that. People were so upset, and he's been waffling back and forth. Every time someone asked, he wouldn't say. So I think it was either Saturday or yesterday. He said, "I'll have an announcement on my position on abortion," and he put up a video this morning.
Yeah.
Oh, good
Before
Lord.
before you play that video, I want to just point out it just like the truth is out there, and you still have Republicans lying about it. But Trump ran on overturning Roe v. Wade. Then he won. He put in the judges, and those judges all said we're never overturning Roe v. Wade, and then they overturned Roe v. Wade, and now he's taking credit for it. I just think everybody needs to realize what has happened here. Like, he campaigned on something, then thought everybody would just forget, and did what when the judges came in and said they wouldn't overturn Roe because they wouldn't become judges at that point, and then they just pushed him through and they did it anyways. Like, that's the biggest con. It happened right in front of our face. I don't understand how conservatives at this point can just say, like, oh, we weren't conned. Like, they all lie
The
right in your
grifts
face.
never
How are
end.
these good judges? How are these judges that should be on the Supreme Court? They lied right to our faces about what they would do, and then they changed their mind.
Yeah, I could not agree. So let's do this is what I think we should do, because the video is like 4 minutes and 24 seconds. Or I have the part on just abortion. So the first part, which is only 3 minutes and 14 seconds. The first part is him basically, he starts out, which is smart, you know what I mean? This is basically him just riding the fence, trying to not, because again, he has to pull some moderates. He cannot win this election without pulling moderates. That's what this is. He's walking a tightrope, because the far right, right, when he speaks to the far right or to evangelicals, then he's like, I'm so proud of this, ban abortion federally. But now that it's important, he pulls moderate voters. He's like walking this tightrope. So the first minute is him just saying, oh, I completely support IVF, right? But again, that goes against what he says next about abortion, which is the states can decide, because IVF, as we know, is a personhood argument. That's what the far right is trying to do, is if personhood begins at conception, IVF is illegal. It's schmurder.
Right.
So that's the issue.
This isn't their end goal. They're nowhere near their end goal yet. And we covered, you weren't here last week, we covered a lot of that, like with Project 2025, which is tricky to get into apparently. Apparently it's hard to talk about without keeping your live up. But we all learned, or it's not last week, it's the week before. We learned that week that this is far from over. Like, they want it completely gone. They want abortion gone. They want birth control gone. They want no-fault divorce gone. They want all of this stuff gone. And if you're a Republican here and you're like, no, that's not me, that's not what I'm voting for, that's fine. That's great. I'm glad that that's not you. But, like, we don't really trust you. We don't really trust that you're going to hold the line there. We're reading Project 2025. We see who's paying Donald Trump. We see who's getting him out of every legal jam. And they're saying that they want to take this all the way down to completely banning abortion, taking away a woman's right to choose whether or not she can stay in a marriage, like all the way down there. So we just don't believe you when you say that this is the end for you. I know that might be tricky. And if you're a Republican who's like, I think a woman should have the right to choose, you can't really vote for Republicans in this election cycle. You can't. Unless they implicitly say, like, I would vote against banning any sort of abortion, right? Or whatever your line might be. But you can't vote for Republicans if you think that the women have the right to choose.
I concur with that statement. Okay, so we'll just play. Let's just do the part on abortion, and then when you want to say, just put your hand up, and I will stop it. Because or I'll stop it when because there's many moments you're gonna want to yell.
Many people have asked.
God, I already hate it.
Many people have asked me what my position is on abortion and abortion rights, especially since I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and, in fact, demanded be ended. Roe v. Wade.
Okay. Yeah.
Question 1. What was that again? What was that about?
He basically is trying. Yeah, he's trying the both sides argument. You wonder why we can't talk to anybody from the right who doesn't do the both sides like that. He starts out saying, "Oh, I just want to be clear. I didn't want to repeal both sides. The left and the right demanded that I repeal Roe v. Wade."
Right. That's why we had to wait until there was a majority in the Supreme Court. Everybody wanted it, but we needed that majority for some reason. I'm confused by that.
Exactly.
They wanted it ended. It must be remembered that the Democrats are the radical ones on this position because they support abortion up to and even beyond the 9th month. The concept of having an abortion in the later months and...
Yeah, it's never ending.
How does anybody take him seriously? Like, he says after, like, post-birth abortion. First of all, that's not abortion. That's no longer an abortion at that point, and also not a thing. That doesn't happen. That's not a thing. Nobody supports that. There's nobody I know who has ever come out and said maybe we should extend it from 9 to like 11 months, maybe 12. I don't know. See if you really like the baby. Nobody's advocating for that.
Yeah. Oh, it gets worse. Just prepare.
Even execution after birth, and that's exactly what it is. The baby is born, the baby is executed after birth, is unacceptable.
Like, when this is a lie, right? It's like, when does somebody on the far right want to say, hey, I'm tired of being lied to? I would just like to hear the truth.
This is what's frustrating about this argument too, is because Republicans want to take like any sort of nuance out of this discussion. Like, are there scenarios where a child is born and it's not viable and then it dies, and maybe they help a lot, like with medication or with a shot or injection, whatever. I don't know what they do. Like, I'm sure that exists. I have no idea if it does, but I'm sure that exists. And what drives me nuts about Republicans is they'll just say, oh, that exists, therefore you have to remove abortion. That doesn't make any sense. And why not talk about the nuance? We asked Jeff this the other day, but I don't understand on the right, if your goal is not to ban abortion completely, then why aren't you just advocating that certain instances be illegal, right? Like, if the baby is born, you cannot unalive the baby. Agreed. Everybody's going to vote for that. Let's just put the law there. Like, if you guys have problems with certain instances, why try and ban all of it? That's the thing I don't get about conservatives. If you want us to believe that you're not trying to just totally ban it, then why don't you guys just advocate for laws that ban certain types of abortions?
That would make sense.
And almost everyone agrees with that. My view is, now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from a legal standpoint, the states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land. In this case, the law of the state. Many states will be different. Many will have a different number of weeks, or some will have more conservative than others, and that's what they will be.
So I just want to say, like, this is him basically saying he supports what's going on in Florida and all the women that are going to suffer and possibly be unalived.
I'd also like to point out that he doesn't speak in full sentences. This is how easy it is to speak to MAGA. He's not, if you go back 15 seconds and listen to what he said, he didn't say anything. He didn't complete a single thought. He just mushed a bunch of like half sentences together. Go back 10 seconds and just hear that sentence he put together there. That was his ad lib sentence, I think.
Oh, go back 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I might have gone too far.
Everyone agrees with that. My view is, now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from a legal standpoint.
Farther, or sorry,
Nope.
is that
This
right?
good. Yep.
Okay.
The states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land. In this case, the law of the state. Many states will be different. Many will have a different number of weeks, or some will have more conservative than others, and that's what they will be. At the end of the day, this is all about the will of the people. You must follow your heart, or in many cases, your religion or your faith. Do what's right for your faith.
Politics, as the founding fathers made it very clear, religion is not supposed to have anything to do with legislation.
Yeah, like, he just dances around the issue. Some people will want it further or more conservative, and that's the way that at the end of the day, you have to do what's best. Everybody has to do what's best for their family. Like, his announcement.
Do you
is
see
that he
him
didn't
walking
take a
that
position.
tightrope?
Yeah,
Walking that tightrope. Hey, whatever
He just
you
dog
are,
whistles to
religious,
each little group.
Yeah.
Each little group got a little morsel there, so that he didn't have to say anything, and they just keep coming. I'm not doing the baby bird thing, but the baby birds just kept looking for that morsel, and each baby bird got one, exactly what they were looking for. He gave them all 20 talking points in one run-on sentence, didn't say anything, and then conservatives like, yeah, that's our guy. That's the one. That's our guy.
Family, and do what's right for yourself, do what's right for your children, do what's right for our country, and vote. So important to vote. At the end of the day, it's all about will of the people. That's where we are right now, and that's what we want, the will of the people.
This is a man who's trying to use the executive branch for fascist authoritarian purposes,
Yeah,
saying
all
will of
yeah.
the people over and over and over.
Yeah, Project
But that's
2025 is like, how can we subvert Congress?
the
How
will of
can
the
we get
people.
around
Yeah.
the people that were elected by the people? How do we get around them? We got to do that through the executive branch.
Well, and he's right. Like, this is the thing. He's like, will of the people. Again, that is pro-choice. Like, some Farley, you just said that. It's very true. Pro-choice is doing what, like he said, do what's best for your family. Follow your religion, which is true. Again, pro-choice doesn't mean everybody has to get an abortion. It means you have a choice to do what's right for you, what's right for your family, what's right, those things. Like, none of pro-choice does not preclude any of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Trump's pro-choice. Let's throw that up.
So
Make a
yeah,
T-shirt,
I
everybody.
do. And by the way, he always has been. Like, like, now that he's decided to go authoritarian and he needs the evangelical votes, like that's changed. But I mean, Trump has always been pro-choice.
That's the scary risk. Like, do you trust? You see Trump like waffle on issues like this, and you look at Project 2025, and you're like, maybe there's some hope. But that's the real kicker here. Nobody honestly can tell you, any Trump supporter, they can't tell you what he's going to do when he's in office. Like, it is a complete and total mystery what his plans are once he gets into office, because he doesn't, like, he won't be nailed down on any specific at all. And that makes me nervous. That when somebody will not tell you what their position is, and they are the front runner for their party, and in some polls the front runner to win the presidential election, that's scary when nobody has any idea what they plan on doing.
Well, and I think, like, just keep listening, because like you're saying, leave it. Watch. He even thanks Clarence Thomas. Like, it's insane.
I want to thank the 6 justices, Chief Justice John Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, and Neil Gorsuch, incredible people, for having the courage to allow this long-term, hard-fought battle to finally end. This 50-year battle over Roe v. Wade took it out of the federal hands and brought it into the hearts, minds, and vote of the people in each state. It was really something. Now it's up to the states to do the right thing. Like Ronald Reagan, I am strongly in favor of exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. You must follow your heart of this issue, but remember, you must also win
Oh,
elections.
here's what it's. Oh, I'm sorry. Just to prepare you. Here's what the video is really about, right? Like, this is what Trump cares
Here's the
about. He
real
doesn't care
scoop.
about anything he was just saying. Here's what's really important to him.
Remember, you must also win elections to restore our culture and, in fact, to save our country, which is currently and very sadly a nation in decline. Our nation needs help. It needs unity. It needs us all to work closely together. Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, everyone, we have to work together. We have to bring our nation back from the brink, and that's where it is. It's at the brink, and we will. We will do it. I promise you, we will do it. Always go by your heart, but we must win. We have to win. We are a failing nation, but we can be a failing nation no longer. We will make our nation great. We will make our nation greater than ever before. Thank you very much.
So, like, what he wants is people to vote, right? And
Yeah.
he takes no position because he needs the moderate vote and can't anger them. Like, I mean,
Well, and it
no
comes on
position is the best position.
it comes on the heel of a week where, like, the economic numbers that were rolled out were much better than expected, and they show that out of all the countries in G7, we continue to do the best in recovering. In fact, our GDP post-COVID has gone up, and virtually every other G7 country, their GDP has dropped. We are, like, as a country, for him to say we're on the brink, that's a little wild. That's a little wild. Like, there's some shit we really need to fix. But, like, to say we're on the brink, that's pretty crazy coming from someone who bragged about numbers just 3.5 years ago that now Biden is beating consistently. It's
Well, yeah, and
Like I
Nemo
really
said
think
that
that
Nemo said this the
Republicans.
other day, and I think it's a really good point. Like at the end of Trump's presidency, all whenever you talk to someone, a MAGA person, like on a live, they're always saying, "Well, COVID and that, the end of Trump's presidency when the economy completely tanked. We don't count that, and we shouldn't count those jobs numbers." And actually, I'm fine taking those out because we know that even without those numbers, Biden's created more jobs than anyone else. But then when you talk about Biden, right, and the fact that the first year, maybe maybe a little less than two, right, was plagued by COVID. Nope, they
Right.
want to count that, right? Like
Yeah.
this man, to turn an economy around, right? It's not like turning a speedboat. It's like turning a cruise ship. It happens slowly. Biden has turned our economy around. We just had another, like you're saying, Jay, the jobs report, right? It was like 50% more than forecasted in terms of jobs. Like we are doing the job, especially when you look at other developed countries in the G7. Like the economy is working better than expected.
Right. And like, not that Joe Biden's done a bang up job on a lot of the things that we want, but everything Donald Trump and the Republicans are saying that they plan on doing will decimate our economy. Like, if billionaires are making record profits, unemployment is at lows that are so low that, like, it's troublesome. It's troublesome that we have all these jobs open. It's troublesome that you have people getting wealthier than ever before, and also at the same time more poor than ever before. As a
Amen.
Republican voter, if you're a fence voter, how do you look at the Republicans are literally saying we're going to give more money to the people who got super rich under us. Like under our tax plan, we saw this massive transfer of wealth. The poor got more poor, the rich got more poor, and what we need to do is go back to that. For somebody who's middle class, upper middle class, poor, like who outside of the billionaire class thinks that's a good idea? It's such a transparent set of data that we know what's going to happen if we cut taxes again. We know what's going to happen if you incentivize those billionaires with more tax cuts. Like they're just going to start buying planets. They're going to buy all the houses. They're going to buy all the resources everywhere. They're going to go to other countries and gobble up those resources as well. They're going to keep them for themselves, not for us. And we
No,
don't even
Jay,
get any of that back.
in 2 weeks, it's gonna
Right.
trickle down. You just
That's a
have to
good
wait
point.
just 2 more weeks, Jay. You don't get it. Like it's
Post
coming.
eclipse.
He promised
Yeah.
2 weeks where
Post
it's all
eclipse
gonna
trickle.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's going on today. It's gonna happen. And like, well, that's a larger all of this is interesting. I love how we talk because it's like a larger conversation. I could go on to that, like about the jobs report and all the open jobs. Like, um, Article 18 in the outline, and there's also a clip, I believe, from Hannity on Friday. And this is so the mayor of Chicago, Brandon, is seeking work permits for undocumented immigrants. And again, not asylum seekers who are in the process, but undocumented immigrants who have been in the country for a long time. And it just depends. It's like, MAGA, if you want to say the economy is failing, well, part of the reason or where we could do better is filling jobs, right? Producing, it will create more output in our economy. We have jobs that people don't want to do, and undocumented immigrants in this country that will do them. And
Yeah, like look at where we're at in Phoenix. Let's say you're just a regular person. You're looking for a job. Maybe you don't have a ton of experience for whatever reason, but you're looking at a job, and you've got in order to have a place for you. Let's say you're married. You have one kid, so you need a place that has probably at least two bedrooms, right? You're gonna pay $2,000 to $3,000 a month for that place if it's anywhere decent. If it's in a bad neighborhood, maybe 15, 16, 16 to 1800, right? And you go and you look at these jobs, and these jobs are paying 40 grand a year, 40, and that's before tax. You can't even afford to live and take care of your family on these jobs. Like, that's what we're staring at right now. We have a real problem where wages aren't keeping up with the cost of living, and I feel like Republicans just refuse to address that. Refuse to address that. Like, they look at debt spending and they're like, "Oh, Americans are spending too much money. The average American has debt." Well, what's your other option? you can't just not be housed, right? So you're going to try and extend that out as far as you want. We've got a real problem here that Republicans are just ignoring, and so they're talking about the border, they're talking about abortion, they're talking about weaponizing the government against them. Why? Because they know they don't have good answers for the problems that Americans are actually solving. Meanwhile, you look over to the left, and there's maybe some mixed messaging, but you see over and over they're working with unions, they're passing higher minimum wages, they're going after monopolies, they're going after the Justice Department has shut down mergers between massive companies that would create monopolies. One side is doing something that's helping the middle class. The other side is saying, let's just pretend that's not happening. Let's just not worry about that. It's fine. The billionaire will cut them again, and they'll trickle it down.
Exactly. I think I found the clip about this I want to play. If it...
Instead, Joe is trying to win votes with cheap political ploys, fear-mongering, lying, demagoguery. Well, the worst is yet to come. And I pray I'm wrong, Judge. I'm not wrong. Because among the 10 million, those coming from our top geopolitical foes, that will include people that are setting up terror cells. You remember 9/11. I remember. This audience remembers. But, well, America better wake up. Because
they're here.
That next attack is coming. Not if, when.
Sean, they are.
So he's talking about the 10 million undocumented immigrants in this country, right? Like, and there's some, like this article that I tied to this says advocates said Illinois is home to 480,000 long-term undocumented immigrants. We have holes in our economy. We have jobs that need to be filled in order to increase production.
Yeah. So naturally bring up 9/11. Naturally. Like if
Oh,
you've
yeah,
got
the
all these
fear-mongering
jobs that need
never
to be
ends.
filled, and you have people that want to fill those jobs, you, Sean Hannity, it's your job to figure out a way how you're going to go on air and make that not your problem, right? Or make people not look at the actual problem. So you have a bunch of people that could fill jobs. You have people advocating that they do fill those jobs, but you have to figure out a way to oppose that, Sean Hannity. So what do? It's like is this that Family Guy episode where Lois just keeps saying 9/11? Like this is an actual episode of Family Guy happening right in front of us. Sean Hannity is going, we have all these open jobs and we have all these people that would love to work. 9/11, and it just Fox News was like, oh shit, I forgot about 9/11. Never forget. We're here with Sean Hannity. Like
He
he's
won't
not
let us
answering
ever
that question
forget.
at all. Which, but one thing I was thinking about this weekend, I've been on like a bit of a fascism kick whenever I get, but that's just what my YouTube's feeding me, if we're being honest right now. But I always think it's funny how Republicans don't recognize that, like whenever they start seeing a rise of fascism all over this world, and they see terrorists, like they're always right-wingers. All these terrorist organizations are like far right-wing terrorist organizations. You get that, right? Like they're ultra-conservative. They don't like the way the world is changing, and they believe that God has given them permission to inflict violence on others in order to save either the sovereignty of their nation or the sovereignty of their religion. Does that sound familiar? Like why are all the terrorists, why do they all sound just like Republicans?
That's exactly like what the guy was saying in the video we listened to at the beginning. Is just, you could say whatever you want, you can cloak yourself in the left and pretend, but no progressive values reflect some sort of authoritarian takeover.
Yeah.
Once you get to the point where you're becoming authoritarian, like that's the right.
And then I thought about it. I was like, oh, who are these people who agree with this? Like, who are the people that go out and they see Sean Hannity say that and they're like, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm like, oh, now I remember. It's the people that don't really, they either don't understand or they don't want to take the time to understand. So they just they play it by their gut, and they're just easily influenced and easily led. And of course, fascism makes sense to them. Fascism is easy to them. They don't really have to know anything. They just have to believe in one person and think that person has all the answers and then defend it blindly. That's it's the easiest way, and it mirrors religion. But that's why all these right-wingers turn out fascists, and that's why Sean Hannity is now sounding an awful lot like a fascist, because he doesn't know how to address any of these problems in a way that speaks to his voter base. He just has to scare them. It's like 9/11, 9/11.
And that's why, like at the beginning, you heard him say, like, Biden's trying to use fear. Like, come on, you cannot sit on Fox News and accuse somebody else of fear mongering. Your job is to deliver a steady diet of fear. That is literally your job.
Beautiful.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
he does it well. He's honestly good at it. I
I
also,
want to talk.
while you're finding that next one, also just want to point out that, again, one of the top news anchors in our country is openly campaigning for a presidential candidate. I just want, for any right-wingers in here, like, who's the person on left-wing media that's ever done that? That just, like, shows up to rallies over and over and over again and just openly uses their platform to campaign for a
Hours of
specific
free
person.
advertising.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No one, it's absolutely ridiculous. So the next important thing, since this is becoming sort of a natural conversation, so I'm just going to go with the flow. I think it's 16 in the outline for articles. There's a Washington Post article, and I'm not sure if you're not eating your steady diet of fear on Fox News, you might not be aware of the latest talking points going on, but it's in order to distract from the housing crisis, right? Like what we have in America is a housing crisis. Jay was explaining it. Nobody can afford to rent anymore. And so, Fox News, this is just like the migrant crime wave, right? Listen to what Jesse Waters was saying about squatters.
Squatting. The Washington Post just put out a piece this week saying squatters have become a right-wing talking point. Squatting is extremely rare. According to experts, so rare that there's no reliable data available on the number of squatters across the country. But with a handful of high-profile cases of property owners going to court to evict illegal residents, a right-wing media frenzy, and the introduction of state bills, the topic has become ubiquitous. Now, what qualifies as a right-wing media frenzy? Well, to the
Are you
Post,
kidding me?
that would be any question asked by...
Are you kidding me? What qualifies is exactly what you guys did with the migrant crime wave and what
Yeah.
you're now doing to distract from the investors in Fox News Corp who are, part of this housing crisis and want to distract from that.
Well, if they wanted to disprove what was just said, they said that this is so rare that we don't have reliable data on it. If they wanted to disprove that, they would just provide data. But I'm gonna guess that he spent the next 10 minutes telling you story after story that he had read about that's meant to get your feelings all worked up. I'm gonna guess that he didn't say, guess what? Here is the data. I'm gonna guess he didn't do that. Am I right about that?
Yeah, does Jesse Waters presenting data? I have never seen Jesse Waters with a graph, a chart.
Yeah. Was that
anything.
by
hieroglyphics?
our very own stupid son of a bitch, Peter Ducey. How
Oh,
worried do
listen to this. This
Son-
is funny, actually. Oh, he made a joke about Peter. Any joke about Peter Ducey is okay with me.
qualifies as a right-wing media frenzy? Well, to the Post, that would be any question asked by our very own stupid son of a bitch, Peter Ducey.
How worried do Americans need to be about squatters?
My understanding is that this is obviously a local issue.
This is Karine Jean-Pierre talking. Like Peter Ducey is the Fox reporter that is in the press corps for the White House. Steve Ducey's wayward son.
Understanding is that this is obviously a local issue. We are certainly tracking that issue. The rights of property owners and renters must be protected. Ultimately, this is a local issue, and it is critical that local governments take action to address it.
Riddle me this, Binder. If a local issue is happening all across the country, is it still local?
What about states'
Yes.
rights, brother? Like,
Yes.
what are you talking about, Jesse?
Yes,
Jesse wants
if-
the federal government to do something about squatters. What happened to states' rights?
Yeah, well, if it rains 7 inches in North Carolina, it's probably okay. If it rains 7 inches in Arizona, the whole state would be underwater. Yeah, like issues are different locally, but also, Jesse Waters, property laws, property rights are done locally. The ability for your landlord to evict you is done mostly on a local level. I happen to live in a place where it's very easy for landlords to evict people. Squatters aren't really a big problem here, at least on my side of the valley, because it doesn't take much. When I first moved to Arizona, I had just a month-to-month lease, and we went home for Christmas. We were gone for like 3 weeks. And then we were moving out when we got back, and my landlord asked for rent. And I was like, no, we paid you first and last month's rent plus a deposit. This was the last month, so I'm not paying. And he kept fighting it and fighting it. I was like, no, I'm not going to give you. And I also knew that he was possibly going to lose the house. So we just didn't, I just didn't communicate with him. We came home back to Arizona to start packing up our stuff, woke up the next morning, and we had a constable at the door, and we were evicted with all of our stuff in there. And then we had to pay rent we had to pay storage fees. And all that happened is he went and got a default judgment against us. He knew we weren't in town. It took him like 3 days. He got a judgment against us. And the day we got back in town, he was able to evict us. That's why it's local, Jesse, because laws are different in different places. And if you have really, really good protections for renters, then yeah, like you might run into some issues with squatters. You may run into some issues where you can't quickly get squatters out. That's why it's local, Jesse.
And just real quick, guys, let's keep tapping the screen. Let's get to 80K. Again, we are accepting donations. Like, we had 2 weeks off for mental health purposes, but we are back. And if you would like to donate, we will be reading the comments, right? So you can use Cash App, Venmo, or the tip jar in Jay's profile is PayPal. And whatever comments we get during the live, we will read aloud. If you don't have a specific comment about what we're talking about or something fun, oh yeah, we like dad jokes. I like dad jokes. Always welcome. Or we do, wait, it's not F, Mary on a live. What did we play? F, Mary, Banish, right? Is that right? Oh, you're muted. F, Mary, banish. We, like with politicians or something, and we can do that. But again, let's keep tapping the screen. And also, we would like to talk to Republicans. So please share the live with your favorite or least favorite Republican. If you don't have one in mind, just push the copy link button. That also shares the live and helps us get to the For You page. Did I get it?
I think so. There was a comment today from Stacy. Thanks for reminding me. Stacy said, missed you guys, but mostly Felice. So that makes sense.
Hi, Stacy. Thank you. We missed you guys too. The internet's a crazy place, and sometimes you just need a little break. But yeah, like the good thing about it is being back and refreshed and like new, just we're here for the cause,
New year,
and
new
for
me.
you guys.
It's new year, new me.
Exactly. That's kind of what it feels like. We have how long? Like 6 months, 7 months till the election, and we just need to like put our heads down and
we'll be. Everybody's gonna be fine. I expect my beer to be fully
stick our
gray.
heels in and drag this country back left.
That's right. What's next?
Wait, I'm sorry. Oh yeah. So back to squatting. I just want to. This is a really good Washington Post article that he's citing. So it's called "Squatters Have Become." He actually read it out loud. Squatters have become a right-wing talking point. What to know about the rare practice. And again, Jay's absolutely right. This is not even just state by state. It's like city ordinance by city ordinance. Like what squatters' rights actually are. And yeah, what we never want in this country is to federally give more rights to property owners or that are renting their properties. Like that, it's terrifying at this point. They already have most of the rights. So squatting,
again,
when somebody, go
sorry.
ahead. No, you go.
Well,
I was going to read
but
the definition in case anyone was curious what it was.
Yeah, read that first, actually. Do that one first.
It in the Washington Post article, it says, what is squatting? Squatting occurs when somebody goes into a property with no legal right to it whatsoever. It's a form of trespassing, but it also involves the intent to claim ownership or permanent residency.
Again,
So
just to point out, though, that the reason that there seems to be more stories on squatting is like maybe squatting has gone up. Again, we don't have reliable data. We don't really know. I would venture to guess that squatting did go up because you know what happens when people can't afford to live? Crime goes up. That happens everywhere, and squatting is technically a crime. Depending on what stage you're at there. I know there used to be this thing where like if
well,
a
it's
house
not
was
in. It
abandoned for
depends.
a certain amount of time. Yeah, there's weird rules. But even
Yeah,
then,
there's
like,
a lot of, if you know the law, there's so many loopholes.
but if people can't afford to live places, like of course crime's going to go up. And Republicans just ignore this all the time. They're always like, it's the Democrat-run cities. They're not tough enough on crime. No, like there's only really one thing that it seems to be a direct link to why crime goes up, and it's poverty. Like that's the one thing you should look at first. Anytime crime goes up, go look at that area and see if it's tied to poverty. It almost every time is tied to poverty. And Republicans just don't get it. They're like, well, you know what we need? We need more police. This is the left's fault because they said defund the police. And that's easy for right-wingers to digest. They're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. No police, more crime, got it. They don't ever have to look at any numbers, which clearly they're not, because we already know here, they read no numbers, that we don't have good data on this. So this is all just feelings, and it's a byproduct of people not having enough money to live.
Yeah, and when we think of, it's a common thing that you hear, right? And this is pushed by corporations, by places like Fox News, that's saying like squatters have more rights than the owners have. No, that's not actually true. And when you think about it, Fox News is pushing these narratives and because corporations like BlackRock own the majority of vacant homes sitting in our country, and rather than addressing that, this is not just about the unhoused. Middle class, upper middle class are having a hard time paying rent in this country. We're one health issue away from a medical bankruptcy. Nobody is saving money. We're living month to month, and rather to distract from that, now we have the squatting. Everyone's squatting. It's a problem. We got to round up these people and put them in camps, all to distract from the real issue, which we have corporations who own the majority of properties, and they're sitting vacant.
Yeah, could we just, I think maybe our approach has been wrong. Maybe we shouldn't talk, when we talk to Republicans, maybe we shouldn't talk about data. Maybe what we should do instead is just like start showing them movies. Like we'll show them Robin Hood, and we'll be like, see how the rich people have all the money and all these people keep going to jail because they're stealing to get food from their family. Let me introduce you to a musical called Les Mis. This is terrific. These people are going to
We
jail.
should
'cause they
make
can't
everyone
afford.
watch Les Mis.
Or
That's
Newsies, like
3
whatever
hours.
you want to watch, guys. Like this is what happens. The heroes in like every movie are the ones that are fighting back against those that are hoarding all the money. And then, so maybe we got to try that, because the data's not, we can show you all the data in the world and you don't care. You're like, we just want stories. So we'd like to invite you to Republican Movie Hour. We'll start hosting once a week if you'd like, and we'll do it in Discord.
That'd be
and we'll watch
we should
movies.
do that.
Yeah, we'll watch movies to show you guys what, like some thematic ways
Reunions,
that-
we'll do
yeah,
newsies. Yeah.
teach you what happens when the rich people have all the money.
Okay, so this is some interesting parts. Like, so Juan Pablo Garnham, a researcher and communications manager at Princeton University's eviction lab. How interesting, right? What an interest. Like the data, they literally have like a think tank for this called Squatting, quote, an extremely rare issue. Dunn, who started his law career in Detroit, quote, where there's more abandoned homes than the city can count. Yeah, if you've been to downtown Detroit, you know that. Said, quote, I can probably count on one hand the number of legitimate squatting cases I've seen. Satish Nori, a clinical adjunct professor of housing rights at NYU Law School, said, I haven't heard of a single case recently in which a homeowner says there's squatters in their home. No public data seems to be available. Squatting, is not tracked in national crime databases. Quote, what I think is happening is that it's just a good story, Nori said. It only takes 2 or 3 examples for people to think this is rampant. I don't doubt the facts in these several incidents that have been reported, and it's quite horrible what's happened to these homeowners. But I don't think that there's some kind of epidemic of squatters taking over New York City or anywhere. And so that, like, it's very similar to the migrant crime issue, right? Like they're waiting for these isolated incidences to say, see, but when we look at the, data around migrant crime, right? Immigrants are 30% less likely to be incarcerated than white males. And when you factor in African American males, because, obviously they have a much higher likelihood to be incarcerated by our police, it becomes that immigrants are 60% less likely to be incarcerated than immigrants.
What are those charts where it's like you start at a point and you ask a question, it's like, if yes, here, if no, here, and then you
Choose your own
ask
adventure.
questions. Yeah, it's like, is they always called choose your, whatever it is.
Well,
like,
there were books like that. It's like, if yes, go to page 34. I don't know.
Like I could save Republicans some time. Like if any of you are listening, here's a pro tip: ask yourself the question, and then whatever the question is, say, do you have data to back this up? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, you wait. Just don't believe it yet. Just wait. Don't keep reading more and more stories about it. Wait for the data. And if the answer is yes, then we can talk about, is this a problem? But Republicans seem to, like, if there's data, they don't like it. But if there's no data, they seem to love it, because then you get to do like the narrativization, you get to do the conspiracy theory, you get to turn Joe Biden into some like deep state puppet. It's more fun. Yeah, we need to jump to conclusions, Matt. There we go.
Yeah, so in different states now, there's been some bills brought through the legislators. Some of the more scary ones basically give the police, like, the last thing we need to do is empower individual police officers to decide who's squatting and who's not squatting. So, Dunn from the National Housing Law Project said that the new laws and proposals give police the power to adjudicate individually whether someone is a legitimate tenant or a squatter, and
Yeah, how
are
could
a
that go
quote
wrong?
disaster waiting to happen. Anytime you have police involved, you're creating more opportunities for violence and abuse of things that police are often involved in.
Yeah. How could that possibly go wrong? Now
I
we
know,
need
can you
our police
imagine?
to be legal experts? Are you kidding? Like, no, stop it. That's silly.
It's
There's the indemnification of the police. Why do you think they want that? Why do you think they want police to have that much
yeah,
authority?
imagine.
They want police to have all the authority. They want,
Indemnification means one of the main things. Trump won't admit to all the stuff he's going to do, but one of the main ones, and it's part of Project 2025, is indemnifying the police, meaning we have no legal recourse. We can't bring lawsuits. We can't charge them criminally for anything that happens. It's scary. And
yeah,
then this is a really good,
which is a
well
weird
written
thing.
article.
Which is a weird thing that, like, they also hate the FBI, who are their police.
Yeah,
So
and the
it's
Capitol Police.
yeah. Again,
I
it's
heard, and I
only
can't remember, I think I read last week that a bunch of J6ers have brought a huge lawsuit against the Capitol Police.
I saw. Yeah, that's it's.
Like,
Remember, like every once in a while, you'll see a story of. I think I told it before of like this. It's like the world's worst aunt or whatever. But somebody her nephew like broke her arm on their property and they sued them. But then you'd hear like stories. I remember hearing stories all the time. I have no idea if they're true, but when I was a conservative, there was like the 2A argument, and you would always hear somebody inevitably would bring up a story of somebody being broken into, like somebody broke in their house, they shot the person that broke into their house, and then they got charged with the crime. Like that's what this is. This is the criminals now like showing up, breaking in and doing a crime and then trying to sue them. That's insane.
exactly. It's
And Donald Trump
insane.
loves it. I saw, actually, there were some people on this app talking about it and posted about it, how it was like TikTok Democrats. It's like, I don't think you know where this court case is going. This is not going to go well for you.
I know. It's like, it's just, yeah, it's frivolous. And then this is the best part of this article. This article is really well written. At the end, it says, how did this national conversation come about? Because when you see Fox News, just like they did with the migrant crime wave, start harping on something, right? It's gotta come from somewhere. So several stories involving squatting gained media attention in recent weeks, with two standing out. And one of these I actually saw. Do you guys, and you might have seen on TikTok, do you guys remember this? So in March, Leonel Moreno, a Venezuelan citizen in the United States, created TikToks suggesting that people should occupy abandoned homes, citing adverse possession laws, which he called squatters' rights. Moreno was arrested in Ohio on March 29 by immigration and custom enforcement agents for entering the United States illegally. Moreno's TikToks, the video of Andaloro getting arrested, and let me just tell you who Andaloro is, because I skipped to talk about Leonel. One involved Adele Andaloro, a New York woman who found that people had been living illegally in her home since February. Andaloro was arrested for changing the locks on her own house. Okay, and then Leonel posted that video, as well as he was basically making TikToks, kind of instructing people like what the technical laws were on squatting in Ohio where he was, like kind of what the loopholes were and things like that, and which is idiotic because he was undocumented and it was picked up, by Fox, and then he was picked up by ICE. is,
They probably
is
had
what
Fox there
happened
too
there.
on a ride along. I'm sure Fox was with him.
Yeah,
Let
and
me
a
read a couple.
fox. This is a fox. Yes, probably.
Let me read
That was funny. You
a
made me
couple of
laugh.
comments real quick from Chris. Vote for Mia Matthews on American Idol tonight, please and thank you. I don't know who that
Okay.
is,
Okay.
uh,
My
but
sis. I like the name Mia.
but good luck, Mia. And if you guys are watching American Idol, vote for Mia. And then for Patricia, welcome back. You were missed. Thank you very much. It's very kind. I missed you guys too. And then Debbie also sent a donation with no message. So thank you guys. All
We
right.
love you so much, Debbie. Keep tapping the screen. We are almost to 100K. We want to get as close to 400K as we can this live. Again, any donation counts and is appreciated, and you can leave us a comment or a joke or an F Mary kill, and it will always be appreciated. This is our full-time job, right?
Yeah.
Forever.
Whoa. Whoa.
I wanted to scare you.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
terrifying.
so this is funny because you'll like this. It involves Joe Rogan. A Fox News host claimed on March 20th that President Biden was allowing migrants to, quote, break into the country and then break into your bedroom. 3 days later, Joe Rogan, who hosts the country's most streamed podcast, said the United States is, quote, basically allowing people to steal people's houses. The only people stealing people's houses is BlackRock. Like, we cannot let ourselves be distracted. We're talking about destitute people who need shelter. Like, what we need to worry about are the billionaires consolidating wealth, right? And who are now renting back properties to us, or just leaving them vacant in the first place. That's the issue.
Did you know he did a episode with Chris Rufo?
No, I didn't see it. I did not
I
know
didn't
that.
I
You're
didn't know he
much
had
more
done
of
it.
a Joe Rogan. You like Joe Rogan, just admit
Nah,
it.
well, it's
Or-
hard. I kind of wait for people to recommend episodes now because it's like
Oh yeah, that's
every
true.
second or every third guest is like some right-wing psycho. Like Christopher Rufo doesn't need to be platformed anywhere. Christopher Rufo is just like an open and unapologetic propagandist. Like he admit like I've seen him I forget that interview he did on MSNBC. Like he's just openly saying, "Yeah, I'm just a propagandist." And then they bring him on as if he has like good opinions about things or solid data about anything. I haven't watched the Chris Rufo. I just saw one clip from it and I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." Joe Rogan's move to Austin sure moved him pretty far right.
Yeah, and so I do you have this article open? If you look, there's a graph in this article. It's not required. It's about squatters became a big topic in mid-March, and it just is demonstrating the power of Fox News and the right-wing media, where you see these little bars, like nobody was mentioning squatters, and then in March it just, you know what I mean, it shoots up. It says mentions of squatters were 14 times more common throughout the last week of March than they were a month earlier in social media posts, podcasts, and other public statements from high profile right wing politicians, commentators, and influencers. Like 14 times higher. Like that is the power. And I will give it to the right and Republicans. They are great at messaging and they all get in line, right? They all the way on down. Podcast, it starts at the top and everyone gets the message and pumps it out. And you can literally see that to go from 14 times more mentions from the previous week is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's like it's getting old. I don't know. Are Republicans entertained anymore by these people? Like, are, when you watch
I think
Rogan
so.
now, when you watch some of these people, like, is it still entertaining in the same way, or does it feel like news to you now? Because that's what it feels like to me now. When I listen to it, it's like, oh, okay, this is just like they want to talk about serious things. They're
The
not
talking
necessarily
points,
serious
yeah.
people. And yeah, and they don't want to go into depth on anything. It's just like, great, another dude who hunts telling me about like world politics. Terrific. I'm not, I don't know if anybody's entertained by it anymore. I used to really like a lot of the episodes he did. There was some variety there, but now no matter what show, he's going to try and drag him into politics, and he's bad at politics, so it's not even good to listen to.
Yeah, and so this is Brandon Weiss, a professor of law at American University, said an unprecedented number of U.S. households cannot afford housing right now. Stories about the growing number of squatters is a sort of narrative or rhetorical tool being used to push back against tenants. Narratives like this will shift the balance of power even further towards landlords. Weiss said there are campaigns to provide greater housing security, but if the story becomes that landlords are victims of tenants, it will deflect from the bigger problem of housing insecurity. Nobody is advocating wildly reckless lawbreaking, but if you take these caricatured cases to enact law reform, that can affect people in ways that the law probably didn't intend.
Yeah, the word I feel like the word lord is in landlord. And when landlords are becoming this powerful, when you have like billionaires who are becoming billionaires off of being landlords, like we're going into a lord and a serfs era.
Feudal
Like
lords.
the
They're literally BlackRock is a feudal lord.
yeah, and this isn't like it's not a game of semantics, right? Because landlords can exist without it necessarily meaning like we're going to serfs, but we're talking about the most powerful people now, the richest people, and their ability to buy up so much land and be the lords over those lands. And they build these massive mansions out in the middle of nowhere, and they have protection. They have walls around them. It's like if they don't have a moat, nobody's gonna recognize that we're like we actually have lords and peasants now. Like we're getting there.
And again, and this is just another offshoot of the migrant crime wave conversation, because when you hear about it on Fox News, it's mainly undocumented immigrants, that they're not like, oh, here's a poor Caucasian family that's squatting because they are unhoused. You know what I mean? That's not the narrative. Like, that's not what we're seeing here. I just want to point that out. And it goes to like, if you guys on Saturday, Trump had a huge fundraiser with the who's who, right, of millionaires and billionaires at some mansion like on the border of Palm Beach and West Palm Beach, right? Which is funny because, I was reading it in the New York Times article. So I'm reading from, I think it's like the second article in the outline. It's called Trump at Fundraiser Says He Wants Immigrants from, quote, nice countries. Right? This goes
Yeah,
along with like exactly what they're doing with the migrant crime wave and squatting.
I also want to point out that Trump says he raised $50 million, and
Claims.
let's just believe him for now. But it will be very interesting to see when the FEC filings come out. Did they raise that $50 million? Because it seems odd to me that it was exactly double the amount that Joe Biden raised. Exactly double. That was weird, right? It wasn't 52 million,
And
50 million.
right at the start, right? Because for it, you're like, just like you said, it won't be months until the campaign disclosures come out about how much he actually raised. And he's counting, probably people will have forgotten,
And his
right?
campaign
People don't forget.
Yeah, his campaign spokesperson is kind of giving away the game here. Danielle Alvarez said it took 3 Democrat presidents to raise 25 million and 1 president to raise over 50 million. Donald J. Trump. I don't know. I don't know if I believe that they raised $50 million. I don't know. I'm not sure I believe that. Maybe Vivek
Yeah, so
made it up.
we'll go over this article and then, oh my gosh, you want to talk dark branded? That Biden HQ account, that
So
basically
good.
trolls people on the right.
Yeah.
They had the best thread. It is 22 in the clips and threads section. One of the best threads ever, like right before the fundraiser was starting on Saturday. My God, and the picture of Trump is hilarious. The Biden HQ account on X starts putting out pictures and some notes about the millionaires and billionaires who are going to be there. Right. So it says tonight, Donald Trump is holding a billionaire fundraiser to pay his mounting legal bills. Here are some of the scammers, racists, and extremists funding Trump's failing campaign, and put all their pictures up and then articles next to them, like basically saying the disgusting ways in which they consolidated their wealth. Like, Trump donor John Paulson wants to cut Social Security and oppose financial regulations to protect Americans after the 2008 crash he profited off of. And then the article is next to his
Oh,
face where you can look that up. Trump donor Robert Bigelow complained he couldn't evict tenants. Uh-oh, it's one of the squatting. It's one of the people we're talking about. uh, Robert Bigelow complained he couldn't evict tenants out of his buildings during the pandemic. He tried to evict people during a pandemic and supports Florida's extreme don't say gay law.
yeah. I'm reading through these. These are amazing.
Yeah. Trump donor John Catsimatidis
Ooh,
compared
that guy's
taxes on the
face is tough
wealthy.
to look at.
Oh, it's tough. It's real tough. Taxes on the wealthy to Schmittler killing Jews, and his business has been forced to pay millions in lawsuits over unfair labor practices and consumer safety violations.
Yeah, I liked this one. Jose Pepe Fanjul refused to fire his assistant, who was married to two triple K leaders. They're married twice, commenting via a company spokesperson that
Two.
could terminate them for that. That's fine.
Two different ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fool me once. Fool me
And the
again. I
article
guess
about
that
him
was
is
it.
called Palm Beach Sugar Barons Accused in WikiLeaks Cables of Trying to Sabotage U.S. Trade Deal. These are the people Trump is hanging out with. Trump donor Jamie McCourt pocketed over $10 million from her stock shares before public citizens were made aware of the pandemic's severity, all while Trump played down the virus. Oh, lovely. Do you want
It's
to read
pretty.
the next one?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I didn't know
No,
you
you
were
could. Oh, Kelly what? How do you say her name? Leffler? Is it
Loeffler. Loeffler, I
Do
think.
you Leffler? Yeah, I think because it's German.
Yeah, Trump donor and failed GOP Senator Kelly Loeffler touted 2020 election lies, backed an anti-LGBTQ adoption agency, and supported ripping away health care from millions of Americans by repealing the Affordable Care Act. She's the most palatable one so far. Like
I
that's
was
the
going to say
most.
that's just your type. This,
Pass.
do you want me?
Pass. Listen, we know
This is
who
your
my heart
type.
is set
She's
on.
not crazy. Yeah, she's not crazy enough.
Yeah,
for you.
she's got too much money. She doesn't need me. Trump donor Robert Mercer opposes the Civil Rights Act of 1964, calling it a major mistake, and believes the government is backwards for helping weak people get strong.
That's the consolidation of power of conservatives, right? Like they're trying to conserve a time when the only people that held power and had equal rights in this country were white male landowners. Like he literally he says the government is backwards for helping weak people get strong. That's
You
a
got
disturbing thing to imagine. All these people on Saturday listening to Trump pontificate. Trump, oh, here's the guy, here's the TikTok guy, Trump donor Jeff Yass. This is the guy that got Trump to change his views on TikTok. Has avoided $1 billion in taxes and wants to privatize Social Security.
New York Jets owner Woody Johnson, who just Google him and see how he's doing, repeatedly disparaged women for their looks and questioned why the black community celebrates Black History Month.
Oh, great.
Then-
Yeah, did you read the article next to him? This is the best because me as a historical researcher, I just love their like citing sources. Everything like has an article, and the article next to him says NFL owner and Trump ambassador to UK sparks watchdog inquiry over allegations of racist and sexist remarks and push to promote Trump business.
Mike Hodges openly bragged about how his donations to Trump helped him fend off regulations. That's a hell of a word. So he could screw over working Americans and get rich. The headline says payday lenders discussed raising money for Trump's campaign to fend off regulation. Audio reveals. Oh, we have audio for that. Terrific.
Yeah, he got caught on tape. Oh, Steve Wynn. Gosh,
yeah.
he's had a lot of work done. That is not how he used to look. Trump donor Steve Wynn was accused by dozens of Oh, yeah.
doesn't
Yeah,
even
I've heard
look
about
like
this.
him. That's
He's diddling everyone he works for. I did hear about that. Allegedly, people have claimed.
Cubs owner, I think it was Cubs owner, co-owner Todd Ricketts made his money screwing over retirees by shedding pension obligations and health care promises, and opposes the idea that the government can serve to protect the public's well-being. It's like in the preamble. It's in the preamble. By the way,
Yeah.
this weekend, this guy from Oklahoma was just like, he's like, we were talking politics, and he said that the preamble of the Constitution doesn't count. Like it does, it's not part of the He's like, it's the preamble. It doesn't. I'm like, it's laying out the goals. He's like, no, it's not. I was like, what's it for? He had no idea, but he did not believe that the government
In
should
promoting
provide-
welfare.
Yeah, promote the general welfare. He didn't like that part, so he's just like, instead of
So we shouldn't
addressing
provide
that
for
it
the
says that,
common
he's like, no, it
defense
doesn't
either.
count. Yeah.
Should
It
we
just
get rid of
doesn't
the
count.
military if it doesn't count? I mean, yeah, like I had to memorize it in second grade, so it counts. I remember more of that than the Constitution. Yeah,
Oil barons.
like this is another one who, like the Cubs aren't, he's screwing over retirees, shedding pension obligations. This is the man, think, Trump publicly said, oh, I'm not going to touch Social Security ever. Think how many donors we just read who specifically want to slash Social Security.
All of them. Then we go to oil barons. Then we have anti-union people, like hotel owners that don't want unions. You can go down to Wilbur Ross. He was, yeah. Do you know much about Wilbur Ross?
No, tell me.
Yeah, so he
sounds
would just go
awful.
in and basically gut company. That was his job. He just gutted companies. He
Oh,
was,
like I get what you're
yeah.
saying. Yeah.
yeah.
So Wilbur Ross made his fortune laying off American workers. Yeah, he would just buy up companies, merge them, and lay off like the workforce. And
Suck out
using
the
bankruptcy
resources.
to strip. Oh, here's another one. Using bankruptcy to strip retirees of health benefits. What a great guy.
Shocker. Yeah, it's that's always what they are. I think was he Trump's Secretary of Commerce?
Was
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
I don't know that much about Wilbur Ross, but yeah, that's that other guy we read was the ambassador, the U.S. ambassador to the U.K. Like, it's just like these are Trump's donors. So maybe he raised 50 million, maybe we didn't. Again, we won't know for months until the campaign disclosures, financial disclosures come out. But these are the people he was breaking bread with. None of these people, exactly like we said, are interested in promoting the general welfare. In fact, quite the opposite.
There were some fun stories, and I think we'll get there to one. But one of the issues, or one of the things I saw is Ted Cruz was at that fundraiser. It's a picture of Ted Cruz at a table, all by himself with his legs like cross, holding a glass of wine, just looking bored as hell. Let me read a couple
Lion
comments.
Ted kissing the ring. Lion Ted's in trouble. Like, oh, let's go over. That's a great segue from you. 53 under clips and threads. There, Sawyer Hackett, who's amazing. If you don't follow Sawyer Hackett on X, you should. He's quite intelligent, timely, and informative. Had one of the best threads on campaign finance violation. I love a campaign finance violation. Like, at most, like an ethics committee needs to look, and honestly the Senate is democratically controlled right now. Why don't they open an investigation into this? But this is quite interesting. So Ted Cruz's PAC, right, was paid 600. Oh, you're gonna love this, Jay. Was paid 630,000 from iHeartMedia for his podcast since 2023. So if you ever listen, Ted Cruz, like this show we do, it requires hours and hours. Like the time we actually spend live is nothing. The work that goes into this show, I mean, is hours and hours. So for Ted Cruz, that's why I say that Ted Cruz already has a full-time job. He doesn't care about his job in the Senate. To produce as many episodes of that show as he is, like it's beyond a full-time job. And Ted Cruz always has said, right, when people say like you're moonlighting, you have another job, he always says, "Oh, I haven't profited off that podcast." That's what his story is. And it turns out is that true? So the 630,000 iHeartMedia, right, is the company that distributes his podcast. Right? He works for them essentially.
Right.
So this is a PAC, right? They basically are paying Ted Cruz's PAC directly for the advertising revenue that he makes from his podcast. This is a PAC being compensated for his ad sales. Yet Cruz says he received no financial benefit from the podcast, and the payments like are listed here. I mean, all the receipts are here. You can see it goes to the Truth and Courage PAC and lists the amounts. So this money represents, just to give you an idea of how much 630,000 is in this PAC, this money represents 1/3 of the total money his PAC brought in this year, right? So Ted Cruz's election campaign is being run off the ad sales from his podcast while he's saying he does not benefit at all.
It's good to see a Republican though finally paying for their own campaign. That's nice.
That I actually
Yeah.
I can't even argue with that. It's better than like grifting off individuals who can't afford it. I do agree with that. It's listed, and this is crazy. Like the financial payments that this iHeartMedia to Ted Cruz's PAC are listed as digital revenue. Like I'm not just saying it's the ad sales. That's literally what they're listed as, which iHeartMedia says is ad sales, not payment. But that's how all podcast hosts are paid. And if you don't know that, you make money off your advertising revenue.
Yeah, I don't understand how a payment is like that's if with YouTube we make very little on YouTube, but the money we make on YouTube comes from ad sales, right? Like that is what they're paying us for. They'll play ads on our videos. So yeah, but we're not saying that we're not being paid by YouTube. Like they're paying us. It's a nice solid $2 or $3 a month. It's pretty good.
I can't believe the money Ted Cruz brings in ad revenue. It's actually, I mean, that's crazy based on, how
Selling so
I mean, we
many-
make nothing. So, but can you imagine 630,000? Like that's a lot of money.
Well, the thing
so
too,
Cruz,
he could.
you're gonna be
he
shocked by this.
He can hire friends. He can hire family. He can get the PAC to like the PAC can find ways to pay for his travel, to pay for things that he wants to do. Like, it's not like this goes just to the campaign. Or it also can it can make his life a lot easier. It can pay for maybe private travel, or it could pay for first class travel, or it could he could kick back some money to some donors.
Someone
like by
said
hiring their son.
Cancun. Someone said
Cancun.
Cancun.
Yeah, I don't
Yes,
know. We
can
should
pay
check
for
on
those
that.
trips to Cancun when the power grid fails.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets bad. Okay, this is where, I mean, because it already sounds bad, but it gets much worse. So Ted Cruz, if you don't know what his job is, in the Senate, he is the ranking member, so the top Republican on the committee overseeing the communications industry, including iHeartMedia. His job is to regulate them, and they're paying him on the side through his PAC. So even worse, iHeartMedia, this is crazy, is registered as a lobbyist, right? They've spent 3.7 million lobbying Congress just in 2023 alone. It's illegal, just make this clear. It is illegal for lawmakers to knowingly accept a gift from a registered lobbyist. So Ted Cruz has been paid $630,000 to his PAC by a registered lobbyist when he's the ranking member of the committee that regulates iHeartMedia. Can you say Gold Bar Bob?
Yeah,
This is what Gold Bar Bob is doing with Egypt.
This is not good timing for Ted Cruz, who's already in trouble. He's in a pretty neck and neck race there. Let me read a couple comments real quick from Haley.
I love comments.
From Haley.
Tap the screen, guys. Tap the screen. Let's get to 200K. We can do it. Keep tapping. Sorry, I've interrupted you about 600 times today.
Same. We'll
I'm
get
just
back to.
excited to be back.
We'll get used to it again. This is from Haley. For Jay to fix my daddy issues. Listen, don't.
Okay.
I am not the solution to
Okay, I
anybody's
like it.
problem, but I appreciate that.
Truer words were never spoken.
And from Sergio, support your local police departments. That's pretty good.
Oh, police departments. You know, when I was in high school, you remember those like Old Navy performance fleece jackets? People used to
yeah.
say that to me all the time too.
I remember when that trend was like a big deal. It was the
Tech
first
vests.
time ever Old Navy. They're like, we did it, guys. We finally did it, but it didn't last long.
Is that still a place, Old Navy? I don't even know.
Yeah, still a place. Go any place where there's outlets. There's Old Navy out. I don't know if there's any Old Navy stores, but I know that the outlets exist. So I don't know how that works out, but yeah, any outlet store will have an Old Navy.
Oh yeah, so this is about to get better. So remember, Cruz is the ranking member on the committee that's supposed to regulate iHeartMedia. And iHeartMedia, why are they lobbying? Like, why are they a registered lobbyist? Why did they spend 3.7 million in 2023? Remember this whole push that Trump's been screaming about in his I listen to Trump talk too much. But Trump has been screaming about, especially when he's in Michigan and stuff, about we're saving AM radio and we're not going to
Yeah.
allow because car makers weren't going to put AM radio in cars. iHeartRadio is literally their lobbying money is for that purpose. Cruz has used his role on the committee to push iHeart's priorities, like blocking automakers from removing AM radio. iHeartMedia owns at least 250 AM stations. They list his bill in their official lobbying report, and he cites them in a press release.
All right.
Which are listed here. Like, you want to talk about tit for tat
Yeah,
ethics
that's just
violation. I'm not saying in like this is a crime. I'm saying an ethics committee needs to review Ted Cruz's campaign finance reports.
nothing will happen. But that's crazy. That's good. Yeah, because you can't.
Oh, it's
like
not
we're.
done.
Oh, good lord. All right.
Yeah.
That's not the
So
end.
when
I mean,
Yeah, when the
come
deal
on,
was
Ted.
announced, I know it's a mess. This is a mess. When the deal was announced, the At Campaign Legal filed a complaint with the ethics committee, right, citing rules against lawmakers accepting gifts from lobbyists. Cruz responded, "quote Senator Cruz receives no financial benefit from Verdict." Verdict is the name of his podcast, right? So I just want
So
to
stupid.
pause it.
So
Yeah, that was
stupid.
his response. Cruz spokesperson also said, quote, "There is no difference between Senator Cruz appearing on a network television show, a cable news show, or a podcast airing on iHeartMedia. But members, so this is just no, members are specifically banned from accepting honoraria for appearances, right? They cannot be paid for appearances."
Honoraria. I didn't know that was a word. I'm going to use that now. Honoraria.
I know, I like that word
I
too.
like that.
I'm,
Okay.
I'm so, and this has been pushed like in the local media in Texas, right? They've been so local reporters have pressed Cruz on these payments. He's predictably right attacked the media. So and highlighted that the complaint was dismissed, but the complaint was resolved before these payments came to light, right? So they didn't know about the 630,000 when that ethics complaint was filed. So we need to essentially file a new one. And the committee chair, the ethics committee chairs are Chris Coons and James Lankford, the guy that got slated on the border deal, the Republican. He is like the most honest Republican. He's the ranking member of the ethics committee. And this is very interesting. Cruz also suspiciously stopped posting videos of the show 2 months ago after posting 3 videos every week for months. The studios and production are both funded by iHeartMedia. Why did he stop 2 weeks before the last campaign filing? Is viewership low? Has the arrangement changed? Right? Like, come on.
I'm looking right now to see if iHeartRadio has a YouTube channel. They do.
And this is the interesting thing. Remember also, it is illegal for a candidate to coordinate with a PAC. So it begs the questions, right? Like, how did the money get to the PAC? If Cruz is making a podcast and he can't coordinate with his PAC, how did iHeartMedia come to give 630,000 in payments to Ted Cruz's PAC? Right? He can't coordinate it. Like it. So these are the questions when someone needs to file an ethics complaint that someone needs to ask this man. Why did iHeart decide to compensate his PAC instead of him? Who told them to? Ted Cruz can't coordinate with his PAC. Who told, like make it make sense. Did he instruct
just a coincidence.
iHeartMedia where to send his money? Because that is a campaign finance violation.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to look to see if iHeart has been posting any of his stuff. I'll look later, but yeah.
What's that? Oh
Book
no,
is
I've
called
been raptured.
Unwoke. Did you know his book was called Unwoke?
Oh, it's so embarrassing.
Yeah, it is so
I
dumb.
actually did not. I don't even know. I honestly don't know if I could read that book. I don't know. I don't know if I could get through it.
Unwoke: How to Defeat Cultural Marxism in America.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh, I just went over that. I can't even. I went down a rabbit hole, an ADHD rabbit
Yeah.
hole, and I was looking at the congressional record in the 60s, and every other word was like communism. Well, it's like the Red Scare, and they're like, we gotta worry about the communists, they're coming. The congressional record is just screaming about, like, we gotta find the communists.
Yeah, that was all. That was all the rhetoric through leading up to World War II. It was the it was the anti-Marxist, the communist, or the communist. Lenin was the problem. That was the argument, and that was the argument when we teamed up with the Schmazis after and went after communists after World War II. It's always been. It's no different. This is just history repeating itself. And every time there's been a group that has freaked the fuck out about communists, it's the fascists. It's always the fascists. They're always the ones who are leading the movement against communism. Every single time. This would be the one time that we saw that it wasn't the fascists that were leading this brigade. This would be the one time, and I don't think it is. I think the fascists are leading the brigade, and that's why none of them know what communism is, but they sure talk about it a lot.
Well, yeah, and if any, like, that's the point. If communism includes an authoritarian dictator, it's not communism anymore, right? Like, this is an authoritarian, right-wing authoritarian group masquerading as progressive. So I just want to read Sawyer Hackett's last post in the thread, because this is what this is about. Oh, sorry.
Let me read a comment while you're pulling that up.
Sure.
This was from Law of the Wild from earlier when we were talking about squatters. He said adverse possession laws, it's 20 plus years to claim the title. So like when the property is abandoned, it has to be 20 plus years to claim that title. So thank you, Law.
Okay. And this is the last post in the thread. Keep tapping the screen while I read. Let's be clear, this isn't just shady. This is a U.S. Senator's PAC being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for his work by a media company regulated by his committee. Is it illegal? Not for me to say, but it's definitely worthy of an ethics committee and FEC investigation. And that he is up for re-election. Like I was talking about this. I think Jeff was there on Friday, and Jeff's like, why are we talking about this now? And I'm like, are you, because his campaign, he's running a campaign and,
Yeah, he's doing
and
stuff.
funding it with his own work. I do agree that this, while an ethics violation, is probably ethically better than grifting off people who can't afford to give him money. He does that too, though. Let's not make that.
Sorry,
That was 53. That was one of the last. That's 53 on the threads.
No, I just wanted to look at the poll numbers from Cruz.
You know what we should do? Oh,
We
you're
don't
looking
have
at
any- We
polls?
don't have any real new ones. Yeah.
Well, we could talk about, Trump media, the stock. It's running
doing
again.
good.
It's
They're
running
doing really well.
fast.
Let's see. It opened at what?
The short sellers are.
Yeah.
Jay, you weren't here last week. You would have loved to talk about this. Like, I think the stock got to 70 something, almost 80. It was at like a $6.4 billion market cap, a company that lost 58 million in revenue.
Okay.
It had 58 million in losses and 4.1 million in revenue, right? Like,
So
and
it
today
opened
it
at
was running
66.
again this morning.
It opened at 66 when they went public, I believe, and we're down to 36.26.
Oh, is that 36 right now? So it's still running. God.
Yeah, I
It's
see
the
36.
eclipse.
Yeah.
It's the eclipse, Jay. The eclipse is affecting Trump's stock. It's last week, and I'm sure still this week. It's the most expensive stock in the United States to short sell.
Yeah, like almost immediately, like overnight, because I wanted to go in. When I saw that, I was like, it'll be interesting to see who shorted this, because I feel like a lot of people who knew better than I did would have shorted it. But there was a very small list of short sellers, and that's why. Like, even as it opened, they're like, all right, people are going to short sell the shit out of this. You can't have a company that does 5 million in revenue and loses 40 million and call them worth. What was it? How many billion was it worth?
I think at the largest market cap it had was around 6.4 billion. I think at this morning before the stock market opened, I think it was like at 5.5. And now I didn't know it had ran so far down. Like when I looked, I think it was at 40 or something. But
Oh, yeah,
this
yeah. What
is
did it open today? 38. We're down to 36.30. Yeah, precipitous decline, and that's fine. What's crazy is that like we've all seen this with Trump. Like, name the business that didn't end in disaster that Trump started. Is
that's a
there
great
one?
question.
Like, how his current business in New York, he can't even do business in that state anymore. Like, he can't even be there anymore with the Trump org. What business, what venture didn't eventually like just blow up in his face? Even probably his most successful thing was The Apprentice, and eventually people got tired of that. They had to start doing like Celebrity Apprentice. Like, nobody wanted to see it anymore. They had to roll in a bunch of other celebrities, and even then that was starting to tank, and then it fell apart. Nothing this guy does lasts. Nothing. This makes me
Well, and
happy.
two of the winners of The Apprentice had the idea and helped Trump start True Social and are now suing him
Yeah,
because
they're
he
all just
cut
suing
them
each
out
other.
of the deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
he cut them out at the last minute. They were and took their shares, and now they're suing. There's a great article in the Washington Post. It's called True Social lost 58 million last year. Here's who made money anyways. Like what this is it's crazy to hear. Like, listen to this. So Trump Media, based in Sarasota, Florida, has only 36 employees. This is how little they're trying to actually make money, and lost $58 million last year, the filings show. The online analytics firm SimilarWeb estimates that True Social's traffic is less than 1% of Reddit, a platform that received 800 million in revenue last year. 1%, and has a $5 billion market cap today. Like,
Have
pump
you seen
and
the
dump.
Have you seen the videos of Trump Media? Like, somebody went there and just was like filmed, and there's just
What
like
is it,
nobody
like a
there.
just a
It's just
closet?
empty.
Like, is it?
Well, it's like a real office, but there's just nobody there. There's no signs, there's no markings, there's like nothing on the door, like individual offices. It's just, yeah. They all this was a grift for all of them. I think I read earlier today Nunez is getting like $1 million a year. Like, he's getting
Oh yeah,
these guys are all
that's
getting
why I
paid out.
suggest this
Yeah.
WAPO article. Yeah, it breaks down like this isn't about revenue. This isn't about growing a company. These people are being paid out millions. Like, it's just about like 38 people divvying up shares, pieces of the pie.
Because when
It's
it
this is
fails,
interesting.
they didn't really
They
invest that
mention
much into it. So
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
they
Oh
can just
yeah,
clean
like
up.
nothing. Like nothing. Trump media sued the Post, the Washington Post, for defamation last year, saying the news organization had reported incorrectly on allegations concerning its financing. A federal judge in Florida recently dismissed the case, but said Trump could amend its complaint if it believes it can state a viable claim.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, this lawsuit is nonsense. You don't have anything in here. But if you figure out like a way you've actually been damaged, then you can refile.
Outside of like the people, the attorneys that go and chase class action lawsuits and maybe ambulance chasers, I don't know if anybody has been ever laughed out of more courtrooms or just told like, hey, could you come back if you ever find a case, like if you ever get any evidence for your claims. With all the times that he went to court over the election, with all the times he's gone to court trying to sue media organizations, he's suing the judge now. He said suing Judge Merchan now. Like, this guy's been laughed out of more courtrooms than anybody in this country. He is, and it makes me sad just thinking like this guy, he's still the guy for Republicans. They're like, yeah, this is our fucking guy. We're gonna keep rolling
Listen,
with this.
this is yeah. So the board. Let's talk about the board. So Devin Nunes, Trump Media's chief executive, former congressman, and president, received 115,000 shares worth about 4.6 million. He was paid $750,000 in salary. That increased to $1 million this year. You don't get when you have $4 million in revenue. You don't give $1 billion. Do you know what I'm saying? This company is not trying to make money.
Yeah, it's just
Nunez, a former Republican congressman from California, also will receive a $600,000 lump sum retention bonus this month. Like, they're just giving each other money back and forth.
the problem. Yeah, the problem they have is that this was a bunch of people that wanted to run a business. Maybe some of them have run successful businesses in the past, but they didn't give anything that people really wanted. Like, the truth is they made Truth Social as this like free speech platform. They limit some speech, but
They do.
what they found out real quick is that like the stuff that Twitter wouldn't allow was just like straight schmatzy shit and like straight white nationalist shit. And they have to block that in order for them to sell ads too. What they found out real quick is that there wasn't really a need that wasn't being met by other social media platforms. Like if you want to just be an all-out schmatzy, you've got 8chan. You can go, or 8kun, whatever it is now. Like there's places you can go where you can say whatever you want, but not publicly traded companies.
Telegram.
Yeah, Telegram. Yeah, but not the. Did somebody say MoneyGram? That's the problem. They created a social media network based on an imaginary thing that they made up about being censored, and it turned out it wasn't true. And I think that same article lists the notable people from the Republican side that aren't even there. There's no celebrities outside of like.
Well, Kash
D-list
Patel. Let
celebrities.
us not forget about Kash Patel. What?
Please, let's talk about that guy.
Yeah, a former Nunez aide who served on Trump's National Security Council. This is the guy who's been paying off the FBI whistleblower
Yeah.
and housing them. Was paid $130,000 last year as part of a consulting agreement with his company. So they just gave him $130,000. A filing says Patel also serves as, quote, a national security advisor to Trump as a private citizen and receives payment for that service through Trump Save America political action committee. So small donations. So
You know what I never
like single MAGA donors, right, are paying Kash Patel.
You know what I've never put together until you just read that? Like, and I think it's just the number 130,000 that popped in my head. There's another 130,000 number that has to deal with Trump with his Stormy Daniels case. Like, this is exactly what they
Oh
did
yeah.
with Michael Cohen, though. When Michael Cohen paid Stormy Daniels, they paid him as a consultant on I think from the campaign. This is exactly what they did. Like these very well, and this is complete conspiracy, but like if you want to look at what Trump's done before, these very well could just be payments to Kash Patel to reimburse him for paying for these whistleblowers and for paying for stories and to paying people to come and say bad things about Joe Biden. Like I don't know what Kash Patel does. I don't know how he had all this money to pay all these people, but this could very well just be a reimbursement. I mean, we know Donald Trump's done that before.
Yeah. Well, this is another interesting one. Dan Scavino Jr., right? Did you like one former
Miss
board
Julie,
member, Dan?
hold on real quick. Miss Julie correcting that. Yeah, they paid him as a consulting. It was his money that they counted as a campaign contribution. It wasn't the campaign that paid him. They paid him as a consultant. But yeah, Miss Julie, thank you. Appreciate that.
A longtime Trump aide. So Dan Scavino Jr. is, this is all over True Social, like on all the podcasts, like the far it goes on Jack Posobiec's podcast, like this, and is now advising Trump's presidential campaign. He was paid $240,000 last year through a consulting agreement with his company Hudson Digital. So they all just have shell companies and are being given money. Scavino will also receive a $600,000 retention bonus this month. Do you guys like these profits? It's ridiculous. This is crazy.
Nobody should be getting paid when your company
And
loses.
then he has his loyal, this is how I feel bad for MAGA. Then he has his loyal people investing in this company, which is a pump and dump scheme, and they are going to lose their money.
You know what's interesting too? Like somebody commented when I made a video about this, about it being a pump and dump, and like I really don't know that this was. In fact, I don't think that this was a pump and dump scheme by Trump, but I think it's been used as a pump and dump. Like
Sure.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like he's very upset about this whole thing. He seems surprised that the stock has dropped, which tells me how good he is. Like everybody knew the stock was going to drop. It seems anybody who knew anything, which is why that short position was marked so highly. Like that's why nobody shorted it, right?
Because you can't afford it, yeah.
Donald Trump seems to be the only one not making money off of it, and the only one surprised by any of it. It seems like it kind of seems a little bit to me like
Fishy.
they used his name and his influence to run a pump and dump scheme, and they're just like, we'll give you all these shares, it'll be worth billions.
But well, I think that could go either way. Like, I don't think when it comes to like Yeah, I mean, I think that it was well known. Like, let's say GameStop, like you could argue, or like Barry Diller was saying, we can play the Barry Diller clip. I have it. Barry Diller was saying, like, it's GameStop or it's AMC theaters. Like, there's no theaters, but people want to invest in theaters, and the same way people are investing in Trump, not because it's a good business opportunity, but they believe for whatever reason, just like when they buy sneakers or they buy pieces of his suit or whatever what are the trading cards, all of the things that these somehow are going to hold value or something. And, it's an investment when it's not. And I think Trump knows his base and knows that, when he says, back me on this venture, they back him. So, like, do I think Trump had known? Like, I definitely think Trump understood that his base would back him and drive up the stock. Now, does Trump somewhere have one of those shorts? Like, does he have some interest in that somewhere? Like, that's something we'll never know unless the SEC could sort of prove it. But, like, I think he knew that his base would definitely drive up the stock. But yeah, as far as
The
everyone
thing is,
betting against him, maybe it's a miscalculation, or maybe he did understand.
the thing he has going for him though is he has enough of a base that like whatever this number drops to,
Yeah.
maybe it ticks up, maybe it stays around here, maybe it drops even more. He probably has enough of a base to keep True Social stock alive until he hits that 6 month mark when he can sell. And whatever that number is, it might be
Yeah,
they could be down to $15. He's still making money. He didn't.
for sure.
I don't believe he put any of his personal money in this, right?
No, he didn't.
Yeah. So
Like,
no matter
his
what,
contribution was his brand.
yeah, so no matter what, he is going to make money on this as long as it stays alive. And I understand that could be frustrating because he thought it was going to be billions and who knows what it'll be. But he has enough of a base that they're going to get him to that 6 month mark. Like he's going to be paid off on this unless they
Sure,
find some
I
sort
agree.
of criminality before then. He's still going to do really, really well on this deal. And then he'll be right the second he sells, he's going to Twitter. You'll never see him on True Social ever again. He's just going to go back to Twitter.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think that whichever way it goes, whether he has some interest in one of the shorts or like just from his holdings, like that's why he cut those two Prentice people out. Like he has such a big share, invested nothing. Like this is going either way, right? Either way you play it, like Trump's going to benefit and make money off this for sure. And I don't think what you're saying, like, I think what bothers Trump is the media talk about like this company's worthless. Oh shoot, sorry, I just dropped my phone. Let me find did you hear the Barry Diller clip?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about when you brought that up
Okay, so
earlier.
Barry Diller is a famous like chair. He's famous in like social media, and he owns a huge or owns no, is the chairman of a huge media slash like social media conglomerate, like the Angie's List, or it's called like Angie's now. You know what I'm talking? Like
Oh
all
yeah.
many. So he is very familiar with the social media game, and Barry Diller is known for just having no filter, kind of like Steve Jobs. Just whatever he's thinking, he kind of just is like, oh, this is a piece of crap. Like he never minces words. Give me 1 second if you want to say something or if we have messages to read, because I
Let
just
me,
need to
yeah,
find
just a reminder if you want us to read your
real
messages,
quick.
there's the Cash App and the Venmo right there. Let me make sure I haven't missed any there. No, I did want to read this. Actually, this was
Oh, I found
from
it.
Amy in Discord. Just Amy said Trump's base doesn't day trade. It's being shorted. It will be $10. Whatever he makes goes to his judgments. That's probably correct. That's probably
Yeah,
correct.
that's fair. Yeah, there you go. That's very true. Okay, so this is Barry Diller, chairman of IAC, discuss, and he was on for other reasons. He was talking about AI regulation, I think, and then they asked him a question about the Trump media stock.
Question about former President Trump, but actually a business question about Truth Social. You've seen this stock on the move in this I'll call it remarkable, maybe even crazy way.
Just say 2 words: GameStop.
GameStop. That's what you think is going on here.
And it's ridiculous.
Do you
The company
think?
has no revenue.
But do you think it could ever be a bigger business? Do you think
No.
if he wins the presidency,
No.
it becomes?
Why?
I'm
Why
asking.
would it be bigger? Look, he's only interesting now because he's out there entertaining the folks. I hope if he does get elected, he just plays golf for 4 years. But
So do you think that all of the investors in this are getting scammed? Do you think they think this is a transference
I think
of wealth from one side to the other, and that's the goal? What do you think is happening?
I think they're dopes. I mean, who would buy a company that literally has, I mean, I think, what does it have? $30 of revenue? Why would you how could you put a value on it? They're buying it for other reasons, just like they bought theaters when there was no theater business, or they bought GameStop or whatever. It's stupid. It's stupid stuff.
It was 1,000 times revenue, I think.
And it was
And then that's the Trump sycophant on CNBC who broke in and tried to say to Barry Diller, who, like, you have no business addressing Barry Diller, is how powerful Barry Diller is. And he tries to say it's 1,000 times revenue. And the look Barry Diller gives that guy is just like, are you kidding?
It's 1,000 times revenue, I think. I think it was 4 million. It was
$4 million in revenue. That's $4 million in revenue. It's ridiculous. I'm not saying it's not ridiculous.
4 million.
Why are you even talking about this? It's a scam, just like everything he's ever been involved in is some sort of con.
Let me pivot.
Amazing survival of a con man is just beyond comprehension, but there it is.
Watching the survival of a con man is just beyond comprehension. But
Yeah,
there
the story of Donald Trump will be like 50 years from now when people learn about Donald Trump. It will be I think a lot of people's favorite like day or 2 days or 3 days of U.S. history. I think it'll be one of the most interesting times to study.
Oh, for sure.
Like, by the way,
this will be like a university course, like, for sure.
Yeah, just think of the story. Like, this guy, this reality TV star gets elected. He winds up serving 1 term as president. He loses badly, just very badly, and then spends the next 3 years lying to people about the election being stolen. Meanwhile, he created like a pump and dump scheme to keep him afloat. Got 91 felony charges, convicted, loses 3 civil cases, plus however many cases he loses, that, and then lost to no support, gained support. Like this again, just pointing towards fascism. Like, this is identical. This is nearly identical to what happened in 1930s Germany. Whatever you think of Trump, I don't care. But like, Schmittler went to jail, and Schmittler had failed coups that were laughable, and people were like, "Hey, like, he's not that serious. Look, they tried a coup and it didn't work. Like, they're not powerful enough." And then just like 3 years later, there he was. He was the chancellor. And everybody laughed, and everybody, and the people that were on his side were like, no, that was just our crazy people, but that's not really what we wanted. But the government is being weaponized against Schmittler because of all the good that he's going to do. This is an exact, like, almost identical process. The way it's actually alarming how close it is. It's alarming how similar the rise to power from Schmittler and Trump in the second term is. It's very, very alarming how similar it is.
I love that. I love always attach the present to the past. I love that.
Remember Goebbels? Why did they love Goebbels so much? Because he was an effective propagandist, right? That was his whole deal. And all he did was suck up to Schmittler. Like, he met him, he was enthralled by him, and then he went out and he created propaganda. Okay. Fox News, Steve Bannon. Or those aren't propaganda arms? Like, he has propaganda arms all over the place, and those propaganda arms, like, literally will say whatever he wants them to say. Doesn't matter if it's true. They got caught lying about it. Fox News got caught lying for him. They got sued. They almost lost $1 billion. You can read those records like, it was an open and shut case. That was a very easy case to win. And you guys are still like, no, we're the good guys. We're not the fascists. It's the same playbook. You're doing the same thing. It's just that we have more technology now. That's really the only difference here.
I missed you. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking that it's nice to be back, right? Because, like, you think about this stuff alone in your head, you read about this stuff, you talk about it. It's good. It's healthy to talk about it publicly. It makes me feel like listening to you talk is making me feel more sane. I feel like I've been waiting to talk about all this stuff all week. It was driving me insane.
For anybody, like, just go watch any of them. Just every time they tell a story story, think about like, is that analogous to something that's going on right now? And you'll be surprised at how easy it is for you off of the top of your head to like draw pretty direct analogies between what happened then and what happened now. You'll be surprised at how easy it is to connect dots or like get a story that's almost exact. Even just the storyline of this guy who is an obvious criminal, and everybody in history sees it. The only people during the time who didn't see it were the schmazzies. They were the only ones. Everybody else saw it for exactly what it was, exactly what we see it for right now. And now we're living in this moment, and the whole world, virtually the entire world, except for fascists, see this for what it is. And then the fascists are like, no, this isn't the same. You guys are actually the fascists. Like it's really, really, really transparent right now. I don't think it's ever been more transparent.
I think that's what gets so crazy. It's the constant gaslighting of the right, and the propaganda arm is like, as somebody that worked in advertising, I'm jealous of the Republican propaganda arm. It's much more effective. It's a well-oiled machine. Like, they've been doing it a long time and they do it well. Like, they are all soldiers with one goal, one message, and they are disseminating it effectively. And part of that message is to project, right? Whatever they're up to, project it onto the left. And it's maddening at times. Like, being gaslighted 24 hours, gaslit 24 hours a day, you start going crazy.
If you're being gaslit 24 hours a day, like, the only way to combat that is to be lit while you're being gaslit, and that's the direction I've chosen, is to be lit while
I
being
respect
gaslit.
that.
Fight fire with fire, they say, right?
Exactly. Did you see the video of this? And there's just a few clips that came out of Trump's fundraiser, right? But there's one of like Melania standing next to Trump while Trump's talking, and she literally, I mean, talk about a hostage situation. Like, it's like, somebody blink if you need help. Like, her face, like somebody needs to save Melania. But like, Trump's saying crazy stuff. Listen to what Trump was saying. It doesn't even have anything to do. It's like, he's supposed to be kind of be like, okay, welcome. And his messages just get so dark and scary. It's like, and she's just standing there like,
I'm sure it's in there. I'm sure I know they renegotiated their agreement, their prenup. I'm guessing that like part of it has to be she has to pretend to be his wife sometimes. I think that's probably part of it. Just every once in a while, she's required to pretend.
oh,
To still
that's
be his wife.
it's all written in the agreement. Like, they've legally renegotiated their prenup like 3 times. Like, one was like, after Trump left the presidency, that first year after, like, first year of Biden's presidency, they renegotiated, and he's paying for her silence, essentially, is my guess. And you're right. Like, if you notice, whenever Trump goes to cast a vote, they go together, like, whole, you know what I mean, walking next to each other. There are like agreed upon appearances that she has to make, and this was one. Listen to what Trump was saying.
We're laughing stock. We're going to get that check. And this has been some incredible evening before it even starts, because
He said, we're a laughing stock all over the world, and we need to do something about that immediately. And this has been an incredible evening before it even starts. Like, this is the welcome message, but you can't hear it because this whole event was like outside on the water. There's wind. You know, it's like when Trump does the press conferences at the Palm Beach airport. It's like,
You can't
no one can
seem
hear
to figure out
anything.
audio at Mar-a-Lago. I don't know if they're in a vacuum or what, but nobody can figure out how to get audio at Mar-a-Lago.
And like Melania, there's a clip. Let me see if I can. There's a clip of Melania, and she's just like, I am very, very happy to be here tonight beside my husband, who I love with all my heart. Like, it's scary. It's like, somebody please help this woman. She is screaming for help. And then there's a clip. This is the next day. You know, he had another. I mean, I'm just gonna say it, right? Like, the Saudis can't really give Kushner another 2 billion. It's too conspicuous, so they funnel Trump money through the Live Golf tournaments.
But they can if they want. Nobody's going to do shit about it. Nobody's doing anything
Oh
about
yeah.
Jared Kushner.
Well,
They could give him another 5. It wouldn't matter.
yeah,
Republicans would just block that. They'd be like, nothing to see here. The fact that we haven't investigated that yet We're still doing Hunter Biden, like $2 billion, and Trump is just cashing checks right and left from the Saudis. Again, the people who funded 9/11, they're never going to do anything about that. Like, they can give him as much money as he wants. It doesn't matter. Congress isn't going to do shit about that.
And I mean, but it's just another way. It's like when Trump was president, he's being funneled money through a Chinese state bank who's occupying Trump Tower.
Yeah.
And funneling him millions of dollars. But we're talking about, Hunter Biden's 2018 Raptor truck. Like, it's just insane. And so at this live golf tournament on Sunday, I don't know if you saw, but like, Trump is like, Nancy Mace walks up and Trump's like, all like, Nancy. It's so creepy. We went from Trump hating this woman, saying like she's trying to stand outside my building and pretend we're friends and we're not, to like creepily hugging her and he asked her to join his party like at the tournament.
Yeah. By the way, did you see? There's a video of him like arriving and being cheered. Like, they actually staged.
Oh, I don't think I saw that.
Yeah,
oh,
they stage it the same way at these live events. There is nobody at these live events. Like, there's virtually no audience at these live events, but the ones that are there largely are just there for Trump, and they'll show up on the first tee, and Trump will go walk up, and then you'll hear people chanting, Trump, Trump, Trump. It's like 80 people, and they're literally just his fans. They could give a shit about golf. He's just there. They're just there for him. Every time you leave Trump's golf course for a live event, there's basically no following whatsoever.
Except those people that meet on the side of the highway in Florida every week.
Yeah, they're the ones
Remember
that are
those people that barbecue on the side of the highway, the Trump supporters? So Doug Burgum, who you're like, who that is that, right? Remember the governor of North Dakota, like the millionaire, like, I don't know if he's a billionaire. He's definitely a multi.
He had a great seat during the presidential debates. He was, for some reason, allowed to sit on stage.
On the stage was the weirdest
he wasn't
thing.
allowed to talk, but he was allowed to be there.
He never got a word in. And he said it was his dream to be in a presidential debate. He basically bought his way onto the stage, like, to have a seat on the stage. Just didn't participate. Well, he was at that fundraiser and then went on Fox News. Let's see, like the beginning. Let's see. This is.
We're a laughing stock.
Okay, well, that's the clip of Trump that you can't hear. So hold on.
Wanted to contribute to a cause of making America great again.
And they did contribute. Donald Trump raking in more than $50 million. That is a record.
Allegedly.
In his first major fundraiser since clinching the GOP nomination. Our next guest was there, former 2024 presidential candidate, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum joins us now. Governor, thanks for being here. You were there. Take us inside the room. What was the atmosphere like?
Well, Pete, first of all, there was no room. It was outside, but I would say it wasn't just energizing. It was actually inspirational.
We're a laughing stock all over the
That's what he said. He said it wasn't just energizing, it was inspirational. Think about the list we read you of people there. Think about the crazy things Trump saying. He trotted out his hostage wife. Like, I mean,
it sounds like
inspirational to turn your life around, make better choices.
Maybe he was inspired by Lauren Boebert. I heard she was there, but I didn't hear anything about what went on while she was there.
Yeah. Should we talk about Lauren Boebert?
Yeah, I didn't hear about anything that went on with my girl. So.
Well, oh no, I didn't hear yet about the fundraiser on Saturday, but that's what the latest reads about, like articles about her really are about. Like there was, what number was that? Sorry, I should have looked at the number. It is 17. There is an article if CNN put out, Boebert continues stoking controversy amid intense battle to keep her job. It's your girl, Jay. I know. I read this article and I was like, Jay's gonna love her even more now.
Wait, is this about the GOP gala? Is this about her behavior?
Yes. This
okay.
Well,
the
she went full Beetlejuice.
Okay, good. All right, just making sure we're sharing the same story. All right.
Yeah, she
Continue.
went full Beetlejuice. So 3 months after Representative Lauren Boebert apologized for disruptive conduct at a Denver theater, the Colorado Republican attended a glitzy Republican gala headlined by former President Donald Trump in Manhattan. So this was a huge, like, I think it was a Young Republicans event, like, but yeah, this was a glitzy gala. There was a red carpet with protesters like screaming. This was a huge Republican event in New York City. Like the heavy hitters came out. It was black tie, just to be clear. At the December, it says where her behavior once again raised eyebrows. At the December soiree, which was the New York Young Republican Club's annual gala, multiple witnesses saw a server tell Boebert they would not bring her any more alcohol, with one witness telling CNN the server told the congresswoman they believed she had been overserved. Throughout the night, Boebert also kept attempting to snap selfies with Trump, who was sitting at the same table as her. Eventually, Trump's security detail stepped in and asked Boebert to stop, according to the witnesses who attended the event and saw the interaction take place. What do you think?
If you haven't seen the pictures, there's just like picture after picture after picture of Trump like talking to people and just like over his shoulder. Oh my goodness, my dogs are going crazy. Hold on, let me take care of these dogs. You go.
Guys, let's tap the screen. We made it to 200K. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, there are pictures of Lord Boebert basically photobombing or trying to get into photos with Donald Trump. And so, which is hilarious because Boebert is desperately fighting right now to keep her career alive. And it hasn't, this is hilarious because Representative Byron Donalds says it hasn't encumbered her job performance. Like, I know a downward spiral when I see one. No, I don't want to say this, especially not in front of Jay. I actually have a little bit of empathy for Lauren Boebert, like I think since the divorce and before the divorce, it seems like she is in a cry for help. Ever since that photo of her at the gas station, like in a ball on the ground smoking, that was when, that was like the Lindsay Lohan photo where I was like, okay, it's not funny anymore. This is her quote. "Every day is hard. I'm not afraid of a challenge, though. I mean, I think that's what always caused me to stand out because there's always something coming against me, always something in my way. And when times get tough, I get tougher. I show that we can persevere and push through. I got my boys. I got my faith," she added. Like, I just feel like we've all had those moments in life where like stress overtakes us, we're drinking too much, you know what I mean? It's like I feel like I have empathy for her because I've been in this position, and maybe she should just focus on herself for a while. If Jay was here, he would tell you that he can fix her, and she's a hurt baby bird, and he's going to repair her wing. Okay, so
Sorry
did
about
you want
that.
to say anything about Lauren?
Yeah, I just had a guest come in from Colorado. She's just trying to lay low for a little bit. She said she's trying to escape some media attention, so that's what the dogs were barking at.
Oh, Lauren's there?
I'm not. No, I don't know. I don't know about that. She's fine, guys. This is all part of the plan. This is all part of the plan. She's doing great. I've got her taken care of. I'm gonna fix her, and I'll have her right back to you in about a week or two, and everything's gonna be fine.
Exactly. Well, I mean, and think it's like she's replacing Ken Buck, like the most serious, I don't agree with Ken Buck. He's like, well, he did draw a line in the sand finally. Thank you. But he, like, I don't agree with Ken Buck, but he's a serious legislator, decades long prosecutor. And now they're going to put Lauren Boebert, real-time train wreck in his place in the 4th District of Colorado.
Was her dress like was it trying to be like the all-seeing eye? Was that did you see it? It's like,
no.
I'm looking
Her dress
at it now,
at the Young Republicans Gala or
Yeah,
at the fundraiser this weekend?
I don't know if you guys want to look this up. I don't know much about style. I don't know if this is a good dress or not, but it looks like the all-seeing eye and then like a kaleidoscope.
You mean like the evil eye?
Like the one in the pyramid, the all-seeing eye. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what her dress looks like. I don't understand it at all, but she looks plenty sauced in a lot of those pictures, and she's right where I want her. She's doing great. This is best case scenario.
You're gonna save her. You can do it. You're gonna save her.
I think, look, she's going to do a great job with Ken Buck's seat. She's going to pass a lot of sensible legislation. She's going to be a great voice for women.
Talk about a
all
step
around
down
the world.
for the 4th District of Colorado.
That's a tough
It's
break.
just sleigh ride into disappointment, setting herself up for failure. You can save her though. I'm sure you can save her as long as we're talking about kind of like Republican train wrecks. I've got to say something about Kid Rock.
Terrific.
I'm sorry in advance.
Thank God. I was hoping we could have Bobo and Kid Rock on one day.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're in the same level of train wreck. So, Kid Rock on, I believe it was Friday, showed up on Laura Ingram's show with a Budweiser hat on, with an Anheuser-Busch hat, right? This is the man, right? Kid Rock was the leader of the "We Are Boycotting Anheuser-Busch." He made the videos of him with his pew pew, shooting the can. Like, he was the head, the mascot of like, ethically, we have to boycott this company. So he shows up, and it's like, at what point? At what point do you get it's a grift? Do you know what I mean? At what point do you see it now that Kid Rock can be bought? That he has no beliefs whatsoever, that he works for the highest bidder. That's what Dave Chappelle used to say. Like, he's like, I loved Coca-Cola, but Pepsi paid me most recently, so it tastes better. He said that, I think, in Killing Them Softly. That is Kid Rock.
He basically what happened, Kid Rock, he did that thing with Bud Light, and then like because he kept going to UFC fights with Trump, like Trump would get him past his UFC, and UFC, like, one of their main sponsors is Bud Light. And when this came out, Dana White's like, yeah, they're my sponsor. I'm not taking a side on this. What are you talking about? Of course not. And then so Dana White just like introduced the CEO of Bud Light to Kid Rock, and then like 2 days later, he's on Joe Rogan like, I wish people would just chill. They got to meet these guys. These are great guys. I love Bud Light. It's just like, that's all it took. You just had to sit with them. They probably gave you a nice little deal, and you're like, yeah, I wish everybody would chill. Like, dude, you took a weapon and you shot it, and you made a video.
He led the charge of this boycott.
You're talking about you. You wish you would chill. Everybody else kind of forgot about it, but you went out and bought a case of it, which, by the way, defeats the purpose because you still paid them, and then you shot it, and now you're drinking it. Well done, Bud Light.
Okay, so listen to Laura Ingraham confronted him about it. You know what I mean? But that's why he was there.
Journalism,
no,
baby.
but she wasn't doing. I mean, this is a paid appearance, right? Kid Rock is. It's gonna come out. I did my research because I was like, somehow he's being paid for this, and I looked into it and figured out how. So he's basically being financially benefiting to show up with that hat on, have Laura Ingraham ask him about it, and then him to backtrack on what he said. So this is it's ridiculous. It's smart. I mean, Anheuser-Busch, that's the marketing team. It's a good idea.
Man, we got, I didn't know what hat I was wearing. We got bigger targets.
He said, I didn't know what hat I was wearing.
Yeah, sure you didn't.
We got bigger targets. I mean, when you look at who just Planet Fitness, like, what are they doing? Like, Ben and Jerry's? I don't want to put any targets on people's back. Target, like,
Did I miss something with Planet Fitness this week? What did Planet Fitness do? Oh no, I know this one. Oh, they got no. They kicked a member out. There's, I believe, a trans woman in the bathroom, and the member took pictures of the trans woman in the bathroom and like shared them on social media and like, fuck Planet Fitness. And then there was a firestorm because Planet Fitness rightfully got rid of the person taking pictures of somebody else in a locker room. That's the person who lost their membership, which is correct. Okay, I remember now.
Well, and I'll speak to, when I worked in advertising and social media, my job, well, in the latter stages was to, make it rain from Fortune 500 advertising revenue. And Planet Fitness was one of my clients. Planet Fitness like was started as a response to Gold's Gym, where women didn't feel comfortable going because they weren't power lifters. They didn't like the environment. It was like a meat market, you know. And so Planet Fitness's policy like was built off these policies to keep women safe, to create an environment where, you know, people aren't making other people uncomfortable. That's why you're not allowed to like slam your weights on the ground. You know, you can't, if
Yeah,
you
no
are
lunks.
rude or harassing people, yeah, you are kicked out. You cannot take photos of anyone in the bathroom. I mean, I don't feel like this is actually one of their policies. I don't feel like you should have to say that. Like, why are you photographing people who are showering? You know what I
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it's wild to be calling someone else a pervert while you're taking a picture of them
While you're being
in
a
the
pervert.
bathroom. That's a wild claim. Like, look at you, you pervert. Picture. That's a wild claim.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, just let's continue here.
people's back. Target, like, I talked to the dudes from Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch, the CEO, and the people like, man, they messed up. It's too bad they just won't say it. Like, hey, we messed up a little bit, you know,
Yeah,
whatever.
because
but
they didn't.
that's not how they're cut. And you know what? I got my answer, and I don't want to hurt people's jobs and stuff like that when they don't have any dog in the fight. But there's a whole lot more companies we should be going after for sure.
Yeah. So he's deflect. So again, I did some research. Let me just make sure I get the name right so I'm not misquoting. But Kid Rock has a tour. It's called Rock the Country, a 2-day festival for the people. It's going around to he is advertising pick your small town. Rome, Georgia is one of them, right? Like the 14th district of Georgia, Margarine Taylor Greene's district. And when you look at the partners, meaning the sponsors, who's funding these events, what do you find there but Busch Light, owned by Anheuser-Busch, is one of the major sponsors of Kid Rock's
Oh, you don't
tour.
say.
Isn't that the strangest
You
thing
don't
that he would
say.
forget that he showed up on Laura Ingram's show with a Bud Light or with a Budweiser hat on? It's so strange.
Oh, I forgot what hat I
Follow
was
the
wearing.
money. Kid
I
Rock's for sale to the highest bidder. Like,
I like the weird thing about it is like he almost comes to the right conclusion. He was close there. He was just like, you know what? I don't really want people to lose their jobs over just like them sponsoring somebody I don't like. And then he's like, so what we should do instead is go after all these other companies. Like those companies have people with
throw
jobs
someone
too.
else
You get
under
that,
the
right?
bus.
Like if you drop their profits, people will lose their jobs. Like you were so close. Just you could have been like, hey, maybe I'm not gonna boycott companies based on them running an ad with somebody who is a different gender than me or has sex differently than me. Like maybe I just don't do that anymore. But he's like, no, what I learned from this is it's okay when Bud Light does it, but fuck Planet Fitness.
As long as I'm getting paid by Anheuser-Busch, I'm their biggest fan. I no
Planet-
longer have a problem.
Planet Fitness should slip him $10K and just have him start doing Planet Fitness ads now. It'll be fine.
I agree. And then, wait, I have one more clip I need to play from this appearance because it got super weird.
That wasn't the weird part?
No,
The part where he
I
pretended,
know, I
"Oh,
know,
what
I
hat
know.
do I
You would
have
think
on?"
that was the disturbing part, but it wasn't.
I think that's a very underserved market in our country, which is why you've seen things like Duck Dynasty and Yellowstone get so big, is because, you know, while I don't mind a gay person or a trans person being part of a television or film program, I don't need to see one every time I turn one on just because it's some DEI crap. It's like, I think that's a very...
Yeah, and there it goes. You know what I mean?
Is Duck Dynasty still going? That was my
No.
main question. Let's see, it says 11 seasons. When was the 11th season? Okay, Duck Dynasty got canceled nearly a decade ago. In fact, a decade in, 8 years ago. Is that where we're at? Yeah, 8.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a long
It
time.
got
He obviously
canceled,
liked
dog.
that show.
People didn't want to watch it anymore. I don't know who you're like. I think he is still living in when was he popular? Probably like the early 2000s. He may just be stuck there. Like Duck Dynasty's not still around. And Yellowstone, by the way, for whatever you want to say about Yellowstone, like Yellowstone has like some progressive parts in it too. Like Yellowstone does a
One of the
fairly good
sons is
job.
gay. One of the
Yeah,
sons is gay. The
they
lawyer.
talk about indigenous rights. They talk about it's not like Yellowstone is Duck Dynasty. Like it's not a Trump rally where they call in ducks. It's a little
Well,
different.
if you guys want to see the new Duck Dynasty, like in what Kid Rock is talking about, I just binge watched a show on Peacock. It's called the McBee Dynasty. You have believe me when I say you need to watch this. This is about a guy who bought up like thousands and thousands and thousands of acres in Missouri and runs like a farm slash ranch, and his sons, like he has four sons, one of which who was the guy on like is it Joe Millionaire, one of those, or one of those shows like this. It's crazy. And yeah, anyways, like that Kid Rock should have said that would be. Oh, someone says so effed up. Yeah, did you watch it? Like you think like, okay, I'm just gonna watch a really annoying show about people in Missouri farming. Oh no, you need to watch
I'm looking
this.
at it right now. Yeah, it looks
Oh my
phenomenal.
God.
Why do they have is
I
it
promise you, if you want to watch, if you think like, oh, this might be boring. Nope.
all I know is
It is
apparently
out of control.
the helicopter is very important in the show, it appears. There's not a
Oh,
single
in the
photograph
intro, yeah.
that doesn't have it looks like the helicopter from MASH. Not a single one doesn't have that helicopter.
Yeah, it
I'm
might
excited
be
to watch it.
Farmer Wants a Wife he was on, but one of the sons, probably the oldest one,
There's a show
it
called
was on
Farmer
there.
Wants a Wife?
Oh yes, and it's you don't
No.
want to see it. I mean, you might want to see it, but you don't want to see. You know what I mean? You have to watch it ironically. Like I'm not watching reality TV because I'm like, oh, I want to be these people. I'm watching so I can feel better about my own life. You know?
What
Like
channel is
if you feel crazy and out of control, you just turn on the McBee Dynasty and you'll be like, oh, okay. Like I'm doing all right. I thought
who
my
is
life was in shambles, but nope, it's not. At least it's not on tape.
is it CMT? Is that who is airing this show?
Oh, Peacock. The McBee Dynasty is on the whole series is on Peacock.
No, this meat farmer gets a
Oh,
wife or
Farmer Wants a
whatever.
Wife. I think you can either watch Farmer Wants a Wife on Hulu, I think. There's like many seasons. This
All
has been
right.
going on for someone said NBC. It's either on Peacock or Hulu. If it's Hulu, but one of them has the seasons of Farmer Wants a Wife.
Shit, I learned some things today. That's next. That's next on my list. That'll be good.
Yeah, so that's what Kid Rock meant. He should talk about the McBee dynasty because there's a lot of, misogyny and all the things that Kid Rock would like.
Maybe that is what he meant. As a reminder, as Felice is getting to that next one, that's the Cash App and the Venmo. If you'd like to donate and make a comment, please do so, and I will read damn near anything. Unfortunately, I am forced to read some awful things, so damn near anything I'll read.
Tap the screen, guys. Let's
Chef.
keep tapping the screen. Let's get to 250K. What do you want to talk about now? I mean, you know what we should mention? Um, so number 20, Mayorkas impeachment update. Like, it's important to note, like, remember I was talking about oh God, it was 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Like, how unserious the House is and what a shambles it's in because they never even sent the articles of impeachment to the Senate, right? They impeached him months ago. We're sitting here like, if it's so important, if he's done something so wrong, like you think you would get a move on this. So as it stands now, House Republicans are expected to formally present their articles of impeachment on Wednesday. And there was like I've heard rumors that part of the reason that the Ukraine funding bill is probably going to come to the floor, like Mike Johnson's going to force it to the floor, is because a lot of people in the Senate, Republicans and Democrats, are saying, I mean, this is just Capitol Hill gossip, but are basically saying, like, you bring that aid bill to the floor or there's not going to be an impeachment trial because
Right.
a senator can just make a motion to, table it, or it can languish in a committee or whatever. And it's like they want the spectacle, and they're basically kind of saying, like, if you want this to happen, like, you need to play ball.
Well, I don't think we should be surprised that like something that's being managed by Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't going well, or
Hello, and
making a
you know
great
who the
deal of
deputy
sense.
is? Ghost Bus Clay Higgins is like the number. is the other impeachment manager. I mean, this is going to be an absolute show.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I have a
Did
Clay
you
Higgins
come
clip
on a
to play you
ghost
in a second.
bus? Did you
There
come here
were
on a ghost
ghosts, but
bus?
the FBI
Marjorie
entrapped
just
these people at the Capitol.
Marjorie just shouting communist for the whole time. Yeah, it would
Um,
actually kind of
oh,
be
I
an
have
enjoyable
some.
one.
Just wait, I have a Marjorie Taylor Greene clip for you too.
Oh,
She
good.
was on Tucker Carlson's last episode. It was just imagine just Tucker Carlson and Marjorie talking for like 45 minutes. Like how crazy that will get. It's like who can top the next conspiracy? So it just goes off the rails.
It's wild.
So
It is really wild. What's happened in the last year, maybe 2 years, to right wing media. Like we thought it was bad before. You cannot be like Ben Shapiro has a problem right now, and Ben Shapiro's problem is
yeah,
that
he
he's
does.
nuanced.
Many.
Ben Shapiro is too nuanced for Republicans, right? Like he won't believe everything without facts, and
I
he's like
know, that's
he's
interesting
hurting.
too.
Yeah, he's got that beef with Candace Owens. Like Ben Shapiro might not be far right enough. He might not be right enough to make a bunch of money doing content. It's really fucking bizarre what has happened to right wing media in the last let's call it 2 years.
I concur with that statement. So this is Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has indicated that senators will likely be sworn in as jurors because essentially what happens is the Senate becomes a court, right? Will likely be sworn in as jurors on Thursday. A day earlier, 11 House impeachment managers, including Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, will formally march across the Capitol Rotunda to deliver 2 articles of impeachment against Mayorkas. Mayorkas is just the second cabinet official in American history to be impeached. Like this is an absolute conservative legal scholars and even 3 House Republicans have questioned Mayorkas's impeachment. They have concluded that the GOP case against him is essentially a proxy trial of President Joe Biden's handling of immigration. In that way, they are fearful of the new precedent, right? Like this will set a new precedent to just randomly impeach anyone.
Yeah, if you read it, like there's not really a charge there. There's certainly not a charge of a crime. It's literally and this is what all the Republican impeachments are, is it's like they want to have their interpretation in the way that our laws have never been interpreted before, or like they think it's an impeachable offense if you do something that they don't like. That's essentially what we have here now. They're saying, oh, well, some people haven't done it this way, and since you're doing it this way, now that's an impeachable offense. But if you read through it, I think there's 2 charges, right? And I think they have like 7 pieces of evidence for one and looks like 9 for the other. And none of it is anything like it. Like one is listing that there was like 9 people caught on the terror watch that they caught. That's crazy. Like during his tenure, they caught 9 people, 11 non-citizens on the terrorist watch list. Well, so what are you saying there? They caught them.
Like, do you want to not catch them?
Yeah, and then that number increased to 15 the next year, and then 98 the next year, and then 169 the next year. So they got better at catching people? That's what you said, and that's his fault? Every single year he gets better? That's crazy.
We should have just let them all go, and then that wouldn't be evidence. Like, so House Speaker, this is what I was called for House Speaker Mike Johnson called for senators to hold a full trial because they want the spectacle, right? But even Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell believes it likely the matter will be quickly dismissed. No one in Washington seriously believes Mayorkas is in jeopardy of being convicted, which would take a 2/3 vote and thus require the support of scores of Democrats. So it's a 2/3 vote in the Senate. That's insurmountable. Yeah, it's insurmountable.
If you couldn't remove Trump for like real things, then there's no way you're going to be able to convince Democrats on this side to vote to impeach and remove Mayorkas. There's no way. And again, this is silly. The Trump stuff, I understand that Trump people think it was silly, but there's real evidence. And the further away we've got from those Trump impeachments, the more it's pretty clear that what the Democrats were accusing him of is exactly what happened. They just, like, the evidence rolls in slowly. And sometimes the evidence rolls in after that president has left office because people feel a little more safe talking about it. But it looks like both of those impeachments for Trump were for good reasons. There's nothing here. Like I read through it this morning. Nothing. There's nothing here that's impeachable.
Yeah, so how will the Democrats handle the charges? So this is kind of the options how this might play out. We're not sure, but there are a couple of avenues Democrats can use to quickly dispose of the articles. The most straightforward would be for a senator to file for the dismissal of the charges. While senators are sworn in as jurors during all impeachment trials, they don't act like a typical jury. They don't have to try to avoid the news. They can openly express their views of the case beforehand. And if the trial were to reach the stage, they would have the opportunity to provide written questions to both Mayorkas's defense team and to House impeachment managers. Based on historical precedent, again, because this never happens.
If they're not
I
going to
know, I
pass
know.
any laws, I'm kind of rooting for this to happen. I would love to get those House
Can you
impeachment managers on the stand. Maybe Moskowitz can call down to the Senate and just see if they'll do them a solid and just let this happen. They're not going to do anything anyway, so we might as well let this
Get
happen.
Margarine under oath.
Please. But yeah, just start rifling off questions.
Based on historical precedent, a senator could file for dismissal shortly after the Senate formally moves to become a court or in a brief period that allows for pretrial motions. The experts who wrote in detail about the trial procedure for just security also point out that there is precedent for such a motion to dismiss. So, like, I guess in the Bill Clinton impeachment, Senator Robert Byrd, a West Virginia Democrat, unsuccessfully offered a motion to dismiss the articles of impeachment against Bill Clinton. So we shall see. We shall see. But again, that is going to start the formal, like, walk the articles of impeachment to the Senate. All of that should probably be, I'm sure it'll be a giant spectacle. That's what Margarine wants. And it will be on Wednesday.
I hope she shows up in her MAGA hat again. That'll be cool. That'd be really, really cool if she showed up in her MAGA hat.
God, she probably will.
She's
Like,
so cool.
truly, she probably will. It's not even funny at this point. Oh, and then there's the gag orders. Like, what? I mean, is there a point of talking about Trump violating the gag order? Basically, Trump's violated the gag order almost every day.
Well,
It was then updated to include the judge's daughter, or, like, families, and he's violated it every day since then.
Well, this is the thing that I mean, it's true Trumpian fascism. Fashion. That was a cool Freudian slip right there. But Donald Trump is not. When they say gag order, like, he can't talk. Like, he can talk, and he can. I believe, like, through surrogates, it would be okay to say that this daughter has some bias, but to try and say that you're allowed to go after somebody who's not the judge or even the judge or somebody that's not involved in this case, to smear them, to say that, like, that shouldn't be allowed is crazy. Of course, you shouldn't be allowed to talk about the judge's children. There's not a scenario where I believe you should be allowed to talk about the judge's children unless that child has, like, a direct connection to the case, which in this case, maybe I'm missing it, but I haven't seen any direct connection to Donald Trump outside of the fact that she works for the DNC. Do you know of any other connections? Am I missing something?
No, she has nothing. She has absolutely nothing to do with Trump paying off a porn star, like, whatsoever. And again, like, what Donald Trump does when you put up someone's name, start saying these things about him, and let them know, like, this person is causing me a problem, you are putting them in danger, like requiring all these people to have full-time security, like causing duress. Like, he said, so, what is the name of this article? This is a Washington Post article. It says, Trump says it would be a great honor to be jailed for violating the gag order. That was a post he made on Saturday, like, after violating the gag order yet again. The move came after Trump personally attacked Merchan's daughter, calling her a rabid Trump hater and suggesting that the judge was compromised because of her work for a Democratic-aligned digital marketing company. Trump dared Merchan to throw him in jail. He also compared himself to Nelson Mandela, a political prisoner who became the first president of post-apartheid South Africa.
Yeah, and just so you know, go ahead and poison the well early. And again, let's draw back to 1930s Germany, as it was very obvious that the things that Schmittler had done were crimes. What he started doing instead is just being openly defiant of those crimes and making himself out to be the martyr. That's what Trump is doing here. It's the exact same playbook. If he had a good case, if he had a good defense for any of this stuff, don't you think that at some point he would offer his defense? But what has his defense been for any of this? It's always just, oh, people don't like me. The judge's daughter doesn't like me. The judge doesn't like me. That's always the case. We have a jury trial here, correct? Like, we have a jury trial here.
Well, and it's also amazing because like the sentencing is done by the judge. Do you like it's almost like Trump's not understanding that this guy is going to be in charge of his sentence. Like,
But
and
that,
what, you know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing?
but that's we're at that stage. Like, this is the crazy stage of like of the CULT
The Kool-Aid.
lab. Yeah, we're at the
We're at
Kool-Aid
the
stage
Kool-Aid.
where like in order to believe in order to still be like on the Trump train, the amount of stuff that you're forced to believe without evidence, the amount of conspiracy theories you are forced to believe is like you can't even tell them to me. A Trump supporter couldn't even keep straight like what the conspiracy theories are. Now it's just everybody's the deep state against Trump. Like, and all
Yeah, that's
we've
true.
got 3 cases, we've got all the evidence in the world, and to me, like, just a regular person should be able to look at this and be like, okay, what's his defense? His defense is they don't like me. That's not a good defense. In no other scenario would you think that's a good defense. Like any other court case, you wouldn't think that's a good defense. Oh, they just don't like me. You would offer an actual defense, but there's not really much of a defense here. One guy already went to prison for it, and the guy that went to prison for it was put in prison by your Justice Department, and you were a co-conspirator. So your Justice Department already jailed this guy. You're a co-conspirator in the crime, and now you're here. So yeah, what's your
You're
defense gonna be?
unindicted co-conspirator number one.
Yeah, what's your defense? Yeah, you don't have one. So you
No, his
now have to
defense
be
is
like, oh, it's
that
the
the guy
judge.
who's gonna no, Alan Weisselberg is the person who's going to speak is also just recently pleaded guilty to perjury. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Who perjured himself again, just like Michael Cohen for Donald Trump. Like, it's like,
And
do we
now
see a
you're
pattern?
gonna have, yeah, you not only are you gonna have Weisselberg, you're gonna have Cohen, and you're also gonna have Hope Hicks, who is a very
Oh
very
yeah.
tough witness for Trump. Like Hope Hicks is going to testify here, and Hope Hicks has been like, she's done a good job sitting on the fence and like staying in Trump's good graces. That will end. She's done with that the second she's honest
Can
on
you
the
explain
stand.
a little bit about who Hope Hicks is and how she relates to this? Because I don't even have that.
So she was the I think the White House communications director. Is that right?
Yeah. And she was like
Um,
close to Trump, right? Like that's what
yeah.
I
So
read in
she
the January 6th. Like they had a very close relationship, like working relationship.
Yeah, so
Not in a
during
creepy
that
way.
time, she was the press secretary, and
Hmm.
she had a lot of communication with Michael Cohen about this exact issue. In fact, like I read some text this morning of them texting back and forth the day the story broke, and they were kind of celebrating, saying like, "Oh, this isn't getting as much traction as we thought it would." I think she even says something like, "I'm praying that this trend continues." So she was, at the very least, I don't know how much knowledge she has. At the very least, she was aware of the Stormy Daniel accusations before the story broke. She was monitoring the story
Hmm.
as it broke, and she was working directly with Michael Cohen to determine how the Trump or not, I guess not administration, Trump team was going to react to these allegations. So she was central. It was like she was the go-between. She was there meeting with Trump. She was there meeting with Cohen. She was there through all of it. So her testifying and knowing that like she's still kind of in his good graces, that's pretty big. And I don't know what she's going to possibly say here. Like best case scenario for Donald Trump, she'll say something like, you know what, I knew the story. I didn't know the details. I didn't know the details of it being paid out, or they didn't tell me that she was being paid out, something like that. But it's clear that she knew beforehand, before the story broke, that this story was coming.
Yeah. So yeah, and this is what the reason I remember Hope Hicks comes from the January 6th committee, which I just remember how kind of they were characterizing her and Nicole Wallace when all of these hearings were happening. Like that Hope Hicks had a very close relationship with Trump, and when they a lot of times, Trump was a hard person to bring bad news to or to convince of doing anything, and a lot of times they would sort of lean on say like, oh, let's have a hope, because he would listen to her essentially. And not yell at her. Like,
Yeah.
so I do think they had a close relate. I just mean in that way, in terms of like when there was bad news to deliver, they're like, send in Hope. Like,
So
he
yeah, so
likes
from
her.
NBC, they just said that Hope Hicks in 2019 said she had been unaware of the hush money payment, but now there's an
Yeah,
FBI agent
I'm on the
who is
same
saying
article.
otherwise. According to Cohen's case, he believed Hope Hicks not only knew about it but was also involved in the negotiations, trying to get Daniels to not go public. It looks like there was a phone
Holy shit.
call on the day, October 8th. And it says that Trump, Hicks, and Cohen were the only people on that call. Trump lasted for 4 minutes, and then Hicks and Cohen spoke privately after, and then
Did you say
continuing going
Cohen
forward
lasted for 4 minutes?
in the conversation. Yeah, Trump lasted for 4 minutes. Hope and Cohen lasted quite a bit longer, but
That's what I
Trump needed to
heard.
go. It says moments after the conversation ended, Cohen received a phone call from Howard, the chief content officer at AMI, which I think is National Enquirer, right?
We should go on Michael Cohen's podcast tonight and ask him about Hope Hicks.
All right. Well, Fee, if you're here, I don't know if you're working with him or not. We can do that. But anyways, there at least is an FBI report that Hope Hicks maybe
Well,
wasn't
he probably
completely
can't talk
truthful
about this.
that. And if they have
It would
caught
be really dumb.
they've caught Hope Hicks not being truthful about that, they now have leverage for Hope Hicks to tell all the truth. So if she got caught lying, that's a problem. And if there's more stuff that we don't know about that she had evidence of, she's gonna want to turn that over to make sure she doesn't go to jail too. And it looks like she is at the very least cooperating, because there's no charges against her that I know of.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's a lot of people who know. So Keith Davidson, Clifford, who was then Clifford's attorney, David Pecker, who's the National Enquirer guy, Dylan Howard of America Media Inc., the publisher of the National Enquirer, Trump, and Hope Hicks, who was then secretary for Trump's presidential campaign. They were all involved. That FBI agent is saying. That's interesting. Based on the timing of these calls and the content of the text messages and emails, I believe that at least some of these communications concern the need to prevent Clifford from going public, particularly in the wake of the Access Hollywood story. So yeah, Hope Hicks is all up in here.
And again, just let's
And
go
that trial
back.
is starting on the 15th, by the way.
Yeah, and let's go back. What is Trump's defense? What is he publicly saying? That it's unfair. He's not refuting any of this evidence. I've heard nothing that refutes anything that's been said here. And again, how do you refute evidence when your Justice Department put your co-conspirator behind bars for this exact crime? And you're going to have that co-conspirator who, like, I still think it's silly that Michael Cohen is smeared for committing perjury. Like, what he lied about, what's provable that he lied, was that they didn't do this crime together. That's the part he lied about, is doing this crime with Donald Trump. That's the thing he got caught lying about, and we caught him. So, like, it's always funny to me to hear people on the right say, like, oh, how are we going to trust Michael Cohen? He lied. Yeah, he lied for Daddy, and Daddy was the president, and I think at the time you probably had reason to believe that if your client's the most powerful person in the world, yeah, you're probably going to avoid charges here, which he did, and he didn't. And I think that's why you see who Michael Cohen is now. He's reversed, and he's a little more salty towards the Donald.
And if it's a problem that Michael Cohen committed perjury, so did Alan Weisselberg. He just pled guilty. He's possibly going back to Rikers. Trump has a 70-plus-year-old man possibly going back to Rikers for the second time while he holds his severance payments over his head. Like, these people are in identical situations.
All of these people that you're like, oh, they're lying. You can't say they just don't like Trump. These are the people that worked for him. Like, they were doing their job. That the crimes that they committed were they were doing what they were told by him. There's no chance Trump wins this case unless there's just a law that I'm not aware of. But if the evidence holds with what we have now, like, it's so painfully clear that he committed a crime. I don't even understand what defense you could use outside of presidential immunity. And
There's no,
everybody's picking on me.
it's a paper trail too. This is another one. Like, you sign document. It's like the fraud trial, like you sign documents, like, yeah, that's fraud. You, like, I don't know what we're debating here, but it's, I mean,
Well,
the fraud
apparently
happened.
we're debating whether or not the judge likes him. Let me check comments real quick.
Guys, keep tapping the screen. Let's get to 270K. We can do it. And again, if you would like to donate to us, we will read any comment you want to make, a dad joke, F. Mary Banish of politicians, whatever you want to say, we will read aloud. We do appreciate all of your donations and also watching. And we are back from a 2-week break and have absolutely missed you guys.
I missed you more than Felice. We talked about this earlier today before we came on air, and we both agreed I missed you more.
Yes, that just slightly more. You win. You win.
I did miss you guys.
I wanted to talk to you.
I was with the Republicans. An awful.
Oh yeah, you probably were like desperate.
It was tough, man, because like everybody's pretty cool. Then they start drinking and they get that little bit of liquid courage. So I spent most evenings like walking up to groups of people and deciding if it was safe to be there or if it was going to just like descend into chaos. And I got it right most of the time. It only descended into chaos like once. So we did pretty well.
Yeah. Drunk Republicans, it's a tightrope walk. You just never know like what's gonna come out of people's mouths. I totally agree with you on that. I want to, just for the Judge Cannon stuff, did you talk about, we can look at 23 Judge Cannon's ticking time bomb jury instructions. This is a really interesting. Aaron Rupar, who's pretty me too, famous journalist at this point on X, on Twitter, has posted this article, and it's just about. So it's just, if you saw, I don't know if we talked about it, like Jack Smith is going back and forth with Judge Cannon. He's trying to gauge like what she's trying to do and if he needs to go to the 11th Circuit, right? Go to the appellate division and like say, what is this woman doing, right? Over the jury instructions. I want to get this.
While you're looking, just to recap, what we're talking about here is Judge Cannon basically said to the attorneys for both sides, hey, in a hypothetical scenario where there is such a thing as total presidential immunity, what would your arguments be? And I need you guys to send me back like what your arguments might be if in this hypothetical scenario total and complete presidential immunity was a thing. And Jack Smith essentially has written back, I mean, like, this is nonsense. Like, you're asking us to send you our arguments over something that is hypothetical. And he ended it basically by saying, hey, I need you to respond to me quickly on like where you're going with this, because I need to decide if I need to go to the 11th Circuit and try and get you removed as judge. Like, that's what we need to figure out. Because if you are taking us down a road where you're now asking us to make arguments against hypothetical laws that do not exist, then I've got to figure out how to get a different judge.
And this is the interesting part. I need to find where this is written, because I didn't even think about this, like how this could turn into, I think it's called the nightmare scenario. Okay, I think, this is it. So, and I never had heard this until I read this. Since June 2023, when Trump's indictment for retaining national defense information and conspiring to obstruct justice landed on Judge Cannon's docket, former federal prosecutor Mitchell Epner has warned of a nightmare scenario in which the judge would wait until the jury has been sworn in and then simply dismiss the case, right? Like, once a jury is impaneled, then double jeopardy is in play and someone can't be tried twice. So this decision would likely be unreviewable under the principle of double jeopardy. Since you can't be tried for the same crime twice, it derives from the Fifth Amendment, blah, blah, blah. But it's broader than simply meaning that a person who is acquitted of a crime can't be retried for it. Since jeopardy attaches when the jury is impaneled, so in Epner's nightmare, the judge could simply wait for her clerk to swear in the jurors and then issue a mixed ruling of law and fact that would dispose of the case and effectively be unreviewable on appeal. Trump could then walk free and never be tried for stealing those documents.
Yeah, and we could probably pull up Jack Smith's response about the Presidential Records Act, but if anybody's read it, it clearly doesn't say that it clearly doesn't say that the president has the ability to take and keep any document they want. It clearly doesn't say the president has saying here, give me a different reason. That's what I've been waiting to hear from Republicans. What's a different reason Eileen Cannon is doing what she's doing? Aaron Rupar's laying out a pretty plausible scenario, saying this looks an awful lot like she's just setting this up to be dismissed during the after they've sworn in the jury. What's a better reason? Give me a different reason for why she's doing what she's doing. Why would she ask you to submit a response over something, a hypothetical law that does not exist? I don't know. I haven't heard a good defense of this yet. I'm sure some people have come up with one, but I don't know what the defense is. Do you?
Here's his quote. No, there literally is no defense. If the court wrongly concludes that it does, and that it intends to include the Presidential Records Act in the jury instructions regarding what is authorized under Section 793, it must inform the parties of that decision well in advance of trial, he continued. The government must have the opportunity to consider appellate review well before jeopardy attaches. He's saying, make a decision right now on what you're planning to do with these jury instructions before you impanel a jury, so I can go to the 11th Circuit. Because once they impanel that jury, he has no recourse. So
Cannon was on that list that was provided by the Heritage Foundation, along with our three Supreme Court justices. What do we know about those Supreme Court justices? All three of them had no problem lying to the American people about their plans for rulings at the Supreme Court. We now know implicitly that Clarence Thomas is bought and paid for. That Clarence Thomas has been doing the bidding of these billionaires for forever. We know what's happened is it the Fifth Circuit? Is it the Fifth Circuit down there in Texas?
11th? Oh, no, in Texas. Yeah, I think it's the Fifth.
Yeah, we now know what's gone on down there, where they were judge shopping, and now that we've had to create new rules so that you can't just judge shop and get like bullshit rulings on everything. Like, if we think for 1 second that Trump doesn't have the ability to get judges to make crazy rulings that they never would have said they made before, I think you're lying to yourself. And what happens to Eileen Cannon if she loses her place on the judgeship? She probably gets paid out. Right. This is something they desperately need. She has a lot of negotiating power here. And if she happens to be corrupt, and I'm not accusing her of that, it would be very easy for her to do exactly what Aaron Rupar is concerned she may do. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hey guys, everybody. They're shades because I'm about to eclipse the Democrats' debates because I'm the greatest debater on TikTok. You guys can go outside and there'll be an eclipse, but there's an eclipse in your heart for HVAC, the greatest debater on TikTok.
Oh my God. There's an eclipse in your heart?
That wasn't your worst intro.
There's a glizzy for you.
I tried. Hello.
What's up, man?
Not much, man. What's up with you? Glad you're back.
I had a week off. I played golf for like 12 hours from Tuesday to Saturday. It was our annual member guest tournament, and it's just a lot of drinking, a lot of debauch. My mouth still just like tastes like a cigar. I don't know how many cigars I smoked, but too many, and how much I drank, too much, and how much of other things I smoked, not enough. But yeah, I don't remember. It was kind of a week that just ran on. It was like a run-on sentence of a week.
Yeah, well, it's good to take a break from TikTok too. There was a lot of shit going on. Well, I figured. Have you guys got any debates today? Or I've been in and out, but I've been busy.
you know better than that. You know that other conservatives don't come to this space to debate. They need their safe places. You're the only one with any courage anymore, Jeffrey.
Uh, well, that's why they call me the names they call me. But I stand here unafraid and willing to brave the abyss, willing to trudge forward for the Republican Party because someone's got to tell you Democrats that you're wrong.
Well, let me ask you a question. Something we talked about today. Looking at the Republican Party, let's just look at Trump's platform. Is there anything that he's running on? I think you and I talked about this, and I didn't get an answer. Is there anything he's running on that isn't just based on fear, like him scaring us into something that might happen?
Is there anything he's running on? I mean, yeah, I mean, I think there is. But I can't really put my finger on it right now. I think that, fear, unfortunately, this is probably his best path to his path for least resistance to, get to be president in 2024. I mean, and I feel like, yeah, I mean, because fear is the greatest driver of decision making, right? And now, I mean, it feels like to me the American people have been
bad decision making. Like nobody should be making decisions in fight or flight. But I know what you're saying. I agree.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure if I thought I can name something, like I'm sure Trump has gotten out there and talked about different things that are positive, not just using scare tactics. But I mean, I can't really think of one. But I mean, my point was, I mean, it's obvious why he's doing it. You know what I mean? I've told you before. When it comes to the Democrats trying to pass bills like last minute for the border, it's just not going to work.
Well, that was a Republican bill, right?
Yeah. Wait. I thought it was a bill that went through the Senate first.
Yeah, but it was written.
It was bipartisan.
Langford and who was the Democrat that worked with him? But yeah, it wasn't like the Democrat
from Connecticut. Chris Murphy.
Yeah.
Cinema.
But I mean, yeah. But I mean, again, I mean, it's probably not the worst bill, but maybe they could just pass one single bill that dealt with the border only, and then maybe we could get a bill passed. Or Biden could maybe just like.
Did you know the House asked for Ukraine aid to be tied to that border bill? That was their demand. They said we're not doing Ukraine. We're not going to do a Ukraine aid unless we're.
Yeah, they're like, we're not protecting Ukraine's borders unless you include our border. That's why Ukraine was included,
because that's what they asked for.
Okay. I mean, that's fine, but I mean, that's I think that's like a small percentage of the Republicans, right? You're talking about like, maybe like what, like 10 or 20 maybe?
What do you mean?
That wanted, yeah, because I know that they didn't all want like the funding for Ukraine and Israel. Not all of them. There's no way.
Isn't that how Congress is supposed to work? Like there's give and take, like you're supposed to compromise. And that's what it seems like to me. Like people wanted Ukraine funding done. It was long overdue if you believe we should fund Ukraine. And obviously if you don't, then it never should have happened. But that's what the conservatives basically said. They're like, all right, fine, we'll capitulate on that, but you've got to give us, like, you got to do something about the border. So they're like, okay, cool. Let's get a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent. Let's sit them in a room and let's come up with a bill. They come up with a bill, and then the Republicans are like, never mind, we don't want Ukraine.
Ronald Reagan said, if I get 80% of what I want, that's good enough, and I'll fight for the other 20 later. Like, the point of legislation is compromise, and there's a small contingent of people in the House who will compromise on nothing. Anyone who tries to compromise to do the work of the people is immediately blackballed.
Yeah, I mean, and look, all roads lead back to Trump, right? And again, we all know why he's doing it, and it's probably not. I mean, it might not be the nicest thing. It might be a little bit like abrupt or obtuse or whatever you want to call it. But I mean, this is the path back to the presidency. Well, I mean, if there's a crisis at the border, like the Republicans are saying there is, then obviously something needs to be done. And obviously it's also a political pawn as well. You know what I mean? It's not just the crisis. It's a pawn to put us in a better position to win in 2024. So I mean,
so like,
and you
ignoring
guys
the-
shouldn't have much of a problem
That's
with it.
very on brand for Jeff. Like Jeff is saying, like, which I think is very honest actually, and I applaud that. I think more Republicans should just say the truth. Like, yeah, the border is a pawn in a game to win a presidential election. Like, just say the truth. Like, it's very Jeff because Jeff's about winning, right? Like, if I engage in debate, it's because I believe in a political stance or whatever. Jeff's whole thing is not conceding. So yeah, like the border is a pawn in a political game and a presidential election.
Right, yeah, and but it's right. So I mean, that's another. I mean, that's probably why. But RTP, you asked me a question. Like, to tell me, like, why? Like, I don't care if he, like, whatever Trump has to do to win in 2024. Like, let's make it happen. Like, this is the people that are getting behind him, because you guys have literally, like, you've made him into something so much more powerful. It's wild.
What do you mean?
The indictments, the charges, the everything. It's like one thing after another with Trump. It's like Trump. All you guys, yeah.
So if somebody commits crimes, we should not go after them if they've already committed other ones because it makes them too powerful. Is that the argument?
I think we should consider carefully when it comes to presidents, right? Because what you don't want to do is empower. If Trump is such a dictator and such a like a person like people say he is, then there's only, like, you don't go after him using political lawfare.
Well, this
That's
isn't
not the
political
answer.
lawfare. It's actual lawfare. Those were 3 actual court cases that he lost. He's lost every court case so far. Like, I don't understand why you guys, every time he's found guilty of something, you think he's more innocent. It's 3 now, Jeff. There's 3 times now he's gone to court and lost. He hasn't won a single case, and they haven't even been close, right? The state is getting whatever they want.
Okay, sort of. I mean, he still hasn't paid any bond yet.
I think
So
he paid,
we'll
I
have to
think
see
I heard
about
this
that.
morning he did find, like, the bond was, they've got the bond figured
They
out or something.
accepted
I have no
it.
idea if that's true. Yeah, I feel like
Sure,
I heard
probably
this morning.
is.
But again, wait, you're still guilty if you haven't, even if you haven't paid the bond. You get that, right?
Look, whether he, my point is, whether he's guilty or not, right? You guys have made him into even more of a
And
monster.
it's not. He is. All 3 he lost.
Well, I mean, that's that we're not. I'm not talking about the fraud, the civil lawsuits. I could
Well,
care
those
less.
are-
Trump has been winning and losing civil like the cases his whole life, right? You guys just took it to a whole
Mostly
nother
losing.
level by going after him in New York, but
Okay,
what's that?
But you understand, civil lawsuits aren't like a fucking popularity contest or like a bake-off. These are still laws. He's still breaking laws. The only difference here is that these laws, if you break, are generally come with fines attached to them, right? That's
sure.
the difference. But
I'll
it's
answer
still
honestly.
against
Do you
the
think?
law.
Right. Do you honestly think that they would have done any of these civil cases if Trump wasn't the former president, tried to overturn the election, or running to be president?
Well,
Like,
some
do you
of
really
them-
think they would be doing any of this?
Well, let's go through them. So E. Jean Carroll, that case likely would have never come up had Trump not used the bully pulpit to attack somebody who accused him of something. So no, probably not on that one. When you talk about the New York fraud case, like, maybe, but the main reason that became a national story is because Trump stupidly kept bragging about how he didn't pay taxes. And then he was like, but I'm totally legit, and wouldn't give anybody his tax returns. So for years we didn't have them. And then finally Congress subpoenaed the tax returns and we got them. And there was the smoking gun. There was a reason he didn't release those. So yeah, maybe if he didn't win the presidency, he wouldn't have been charged for that either. But the reason he got charged is because he was out there saying, like, oh no, I don't pay any taxes, but it was all above board. And then when we got his taxes, like, oh, it wasn't all above board. So I think you're right, but that doesn't mean that he's not a criminal, right?
Sure, and look, the argument really is, like, see, this is the problem with see, it's like they feed you guys all this stuff to give you a really good narrative to get Trump, but it doesn't work.
Who's they?
Right? It just
Judge?
more and
Who
more
fed you
people
that?
attach onto him, huh?
Well,
George
that's not
Soros.
that's not a narrative.
Tap
That's
the screen, guys. Let's get to 300K.
That's not a narrative. That's just what happened in these court cases. That it's
Right,
not
right.
reality is not a narrative, Jeffrey.
Wait, hang on. So
is like a story. I'm not telling any other story.
if
I'm
you
recapping
agree,
things that already happened.
All right, okay. So if you agree that like that question I asked you, you said yes, possibly, right? Kind of like in the middle, sort of. So if you
Because
agree
we
to
can't
that,
know.
huh? Right.
Because we
Hang on.
can't
If
know.
you
Yeah.
so I mean, look, just say it with your chest, like 10 toes in the sand. Like you guys would do anything to get Trump to not be president in 2024, and I mean
No,
anything.
no, I don't believe that. I, and I don't think that's the case with Democrats either, because Democrats have had the opportunity to go after him for other things, and they haven't done it. Like maybe you could point to impeachment. I would disagree with you, but you could maybe point to impeachment. But all of
The,
these crimes, I mean, again, he lost all three cases. I don't think we're doing anything. Every piece of everything they brought before the courts, he's been guilty of.
okay, sure.
We wouldn't do a January
Fine,
6th.
fine.
We wouldn't
Again,
try to steal the election. We wouldn't do like fake electors.
look, here's what I'm saying. Like well, I mean, I wouldn't, I don't, I would call them alternate electors, but
Yeah, I bet
I
you
mean,
would, but they're fake.
there's no such thing as
Yeah,
fake
Trump's
electors.
team in
No, there's
emails named them fake electors. That's
wait.
where we get the name fake electors, through emails between Trump's team.
No, okay. I mean, Trump
We're just
wasn't
calling what they
probably,
called.
was Trump involved in that email? Was he attached? Did they CC him? Like, what's the
No,
deal?
I'm saying I'm telling you why the words fake electors are being used. That was Chesborough used
Right.
that
It
before.
helps. Right. Yeah, sure. I mean, you guys use, well, everybody does. It's kind of a political thing, right? You make it, you dress a pig up in shit and it's still a pig. You know what I mean? And here's my point, right? Like, sure, maybe Trump is guilty of all these things, right? Maybe he
So
is.
far, he
But you
is.
got to ask yourself, like, how come how come the people are so like want this guy to be president in 2024?
That's
Like,
the
be
question I'm
honest.
trying to ask you. Why?
Because he's a good people attach to this man because they believe what he says. Most people are laymen,
What does
right?
he
They
say
don't
that you
know
believe?
what. Say again.
What does he say that you believe?
What does he say? I just well, for one, I'm speaking about the people that support Trump in general. I'm like a monolith to like
Okay, so
Republicans,
give me
right?
an example of something they believe. What's a reason people want to vote for Donald Trump?
What's a reason? Sure. And I say this one all the time, and I don't know if you're gonna like it or not, but it's because he's a good leader. He has a lot of he's very charismatic, and people trust and believe in what he says. Doesn't
You
matter
think
what he's saying.
He does have Riz, apparently.
he's got
I mean,
Riz?
it's not
Yeah,
working
he's a
on
good
me.
public
Well,
speaker.
it's not working on me, but I do agree. I agree with that.
Well, just think about it. If you would have only seen Trump and you wouldn't have had that narrative around you from the left, right? You might
Yeah.
see a completely different story,
I
right?
not to be dismissive, but it does, like what you're explaining, the things that you're saying, perfectly describe cult of personality, which we've been accusing you guys of forever. And I'm asking you, like, it does seem like this is just a cult of personality. When I asked you for specific reasons why anybody would vote for Trump, anybody, your two top reasons are he's a leader and people really like him.
I
Like
think
that,
people trust him.
you are defining cult of personality.
Well, here's the thing, right? As like a large percentage of the American people vote, right? We have to understand, like, most people aren't like you and Felice, right? They're not as like educated and things of that nature, right? So when we, the American people, are looking to make a decision about a president, right? We have to go from the gut too. At the end of the day, we have to look at them, evaluate them as a person, right? And we can't like rely on too much about what either the right or the left are saying about these people, because let's face it, they're both wrong, right? And when Trump gets up there and he says things, and the way he talks, and the way he presents himself in a fashion that the people can get behind. Yeah, sure, you can call it a cult of personality. Fine. Fine. If that's what wins him the presidency in 2024, let's have it. Let's,
Let me
because
let me ask
yeah.
you a question about that then. Like you say, like you got, yeah, not everybody's gonna have time to educate themselves on all the policies. Most people don't. That is what it is. We can argue whether it's good or bad, but you're like, you gotta vote with your gut. Well, what does it say about the guts of Republicans when their gut is telling them that this multiple time criminal, somebody who's been now legally held liable for sexually assaulting a woman, who has obviously ran a fraudulent business, is still lying to you guys about the election being stolen, is still lying about Hunter Biden, is still lying about Joe Biden. Like, what does it say about your
Mm-hmm.
guys' gut that your gut is telling you this guy?
Sure.
This guy's track record is horrendous. He's bankrupted every business he ever started. There's a wake of people whose lives have been ruined behind him. Nobody's life gets better with it from him. He has no real friends, and this is the guy that your gut is telling you. I'm a little worried about your guys' guts. And a follow-up question, I'll give you plenty of time to answer. The follow-up question is, why don't you stop trusting your gut and just instead trust what you're seeing or trust what the evidence says?
Right, because good question. So, and look, remember, I'm trying to like speak on behalf of large amount of people that like Trump. So, and of course, I believe these things as well. But I think that there you
Wait,
go.
let me
That's the
say
problem.
something before you rebuttal. Let me just say one thing.
Yeah.
Guys, tap the screen, and if you have a message for Jeff, you can send us a donation and we will read it to him online. Thank you.
Yeah, guys, what are your message to the greatest debater on TikTok? So here's what I'll say to answer that, RTP. So, dude, what you're saying, like, I get it, right? And it makes sense. He's losing cases. He seems like an essayer, all these things, right? So you know that in what you're saying, you also have the solution, right? Guess what? The American people are fed up. They're tired of the claims. They're tired of the going after Trump about this and about that every single day.
Yeah. Wait, but
right?
again,
Well, let's say that.
But you're back to the
I know.
personality again. Like,
Right,
you're tired
right.
of him getting in trouble. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is why
No,
is the guy
we just
getting in
don't
trouble?
believe you. Yeah,
I
we just
know,
don't believe you anymore.
I get you, but that's what I'm trying to figure out. Why don't you believe us? 3 for 3. He's lost those court cases. 3 for 3.
Did you know? Right. I could care less about court cases, just like most people don't, right?
Well,
and look,
you don't hear, but listen to yourself. You don't care about our justice department. You don't care
Wait,
about our justice system.
Okay, wait, hang on. So let me answer the second part of that question, right? You can get people, you can sway. So it's like you guys use emotions and try to get people frazzled dazzled about Trump, right?
No.
And the people that are in the know,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, you are appealing to emotions right now, and I keep listing real things that actually happened, and you keep going back to, you got to trust your gut. We think he's a good leader. He's got chutzpah, whatever it might be. You are
okay. Let's talk about a real thing.
To emotions, not me.
Wait, hang on.
About cases.
No, that's because look, RTP. Just because someone loses a civil case doesn't mean they can't be a good president. That's in your head.
Cases.
He could lose 100 tomorrow.
Yeah, but
the people are still going to vote for him.
Yeah, but if those cases happen to be one that he sexually assaulted a woman and then defamed her and then continued to defame her, and the other one is that he ran a fraudulent business and was a tax cheat, then yeah, like that, those to me, sexually assaulting a woman is disqualifying for a presidential candidate to me. Running a scam is disqualifying.
Well, I guess you got to take yourself out of the equation because it ain't working.
Well, no,
I'm
voting.
I mean? Well, in Arizona, right? We know that's going to go red. That's going to.
No, this just comes about. Jeff, what is your line? What can he do that you're like, oh, that's too far. I can't vote for him.
That's a good question. I mean, because at this point, it's like a snowball rolling down a hill. You guys have to try to melt the snowball or something. You got to do something completely different because this shit ain't working. I'm telling you, I'm watching it like people. And the thing is, it's not that they're not looking at the cases. They're looking at them and they just don't believe it. They're like, yeah, okay, like E. Jean Carroll. Yeah, because it's because the statute of limitations, like all of a sudden, everything's coming out of the woodwork on Trump all at once. Come on, man.
Yeah,
come on, man.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this. Usually, like, it happened to Shane Gillis. Remember, do you know who Shane Gillis is?
It sounds familiar.
Okay, well, he got hired by SNL. Nobody really cared that much about Shane Gillis. He had a sketch comedy show, and he had some, like, questionable material. Nobody knew about it. When did everybody find out about it? When he was in the spotlight. That's what happens. But that didn't mean that the videos that he put up weren't problematic. In fact, he apologized for those videos. Yes, the more famous you get, the more likely your past is to come up. And then we should determine, like, hey, let's look at that.
So wait, let's talk about Shane.
How many people do you know that have sexually assaulted a woman and run a fraudulent business? How many people do you know personally who have been the president? Both of those things. No.
And who have been the president?
And who have been president? Yeah.
Right. So that's
How many?
You see how because that's a good kind of analogous. So when did they did one thing come like
You're breaking up, brother. You're breaking
basically
up pretty bad.
20? Oh shit, hang on. Sorry about that. I'm getting a call.
Sounds better now.
Fucking sorry about that. I was getting a call. Sorry about that. So what was my question was to talk about Shane Gillis. So did he get called out about one particular thing and did it work?
What do you mean, did it work?
Like when he got called out, what was that one? It was one thing specifically, right?
I don't remember. It was some sort of sketch he did. I don't remember if it was racist or what it was. I can't remember. But yeah, he lost his job on SNL. He never even made it on air. He was hired by SNL for like 2 days, and then he was fired before he was ever even on
Yeah,
air.
it was a racial slur. I just looked up.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Okay. And exactly. That was one thing. And then boom, you guys, that one was, you hit the nail on the head, and that's all you need. And that's all you need to make somebody quit if they really did it, right?
Why are you saying
now,
you guys?
Now let's rewind.
Wait, hold on. I don't know why you're saying you guys. I like Shane Gillis. What happened is like, again, like if you say, and he's apologized. I don't even care. Like if somebody messes up and they apologize, fine. I'll be a forgiving person. I think we all need to be more forgiving with each other, especially
right. You got
politically.
fired.
Like I don't think we should bury people for one thing that they said, whether it's out of context or not. Like people can change. The question is like, again, you're trying to tell me it's not a cult of personality, but everything you say about him is that you just don't believe anything anybody says about him.
Okay, anyway, let's keep going with the Shane Gillis. Hang on. So do you know, so here's what I'm saying about Shane Gillis, right? You guys hit the nail on the head with that one, right? But let's rewind to 2016. What's the first thing Trump was saying they were coming after him about? Russia, right? That's what Trump was saying. He's like, wow, these people are coming after me right after the...
It was grab him by the
bat,
pee.
Right. Okay. Which was on a Howard Stern show. Like you guys loved Howard Stern. Like everything was okay on the Howard Stern show until Trump magically was the president, and you guys are going back in fucking time.
That wasn't the Howard Stern show. He was caught on a hot
Hollywood.
mic. He was in a motorhome. He was caught on a hot mic. Nobody knew he didn't know he was being recorded.
Oh, I thought that was on Howard Stern.
No.
Or like Billy Bush, who like whatever happened to him? Like yeah, he was on Access Hollywood like bus.
Let's stay there.
Right,
Let's stay there. So the first thing was Russia. What were the actual accusations at that time? What was he actually being accused of at that time? Because this is long before Mueller.
Okay, sure. And before I preface this,
I can tell you. So
wait, I want to say something about this. When you say accused, hang on.
You'll hear it. Just wait, Jeff.
There's levels of there's.
Jeff, this will get us back. This will get us on the same page. He was first accused.
Tap the screen.
The first main thing was there was a meeting between some Russians and Trump people at Trump Tower. That was the first real like Russia thing. Now now he denied it. He came out and said that meeting never happened. Did that meeting happen, Jeff?
Are you talking about between the Australian and the...
No. The Russians and Don Jr.
That meeting ever happened?
Yeah.
I'm sure it happened.
Okay, so it did. Trump came out first. Hold on, let me tell you the whole story. Trump came out first and said that meeting never happened. Then they were able to prove, I don't remember how they proved it. They proved that the meeting happened. And then he came out and he was like, yes, that meeting happened, but I wasn't there. It was with Don Jr. Then he said, this meeting was not about Bill Browder and trading dirt on Hillary for an exchange with Bill Browder. It was about adoption. And then it turns out that the lawyer who met with them said it was about Bill Browder. They were trying to get Bill Browder freed. And then they wrote a statement, and it sounded an awful lot like Donald Trump, but it was signed by Don Jr. And Donald Trump's like, no, I didn't write that. And it turns out he did. So in every one of those scenarios, that when this first got started with Russia, Donald Trump lied about every single thing, and he got caught lying, and you guys liked him more. Every time he got caught lying, you guys liked him more.
Okay, so
I see what you're saying. That's weird, right?
No. Here's the disconnect. Okay, and this is going to make sense. Okay, this is going to help like future debates because so RTP, remember, I'm speaking for the American people. We're talking about layman's, right? Now, when the people are trying to let's face it, most people didn't have any idea what was going on, but what was going on in the media, right? That's the only thing they really saw. So all that the most people saw was Trump, the media going after Trump. I have video of Shifty Shift. I have videos of them saying that there was Russia collusion. Right. This was the legacy media.
That was later.
Right. These are just news reporters.
That was way later.
Right. But okay, yeah, way later. Sure.
When you're talking about any clip you have of Schiff talking about Russian interference would have been while Trump was president, like 2 years into his presidency. And at that point, these stories that you and I just discussed had already happened. So we already know there was people in the Trump campaign meeting with people from Russia. At that point, if you have a video of Shifty Schiff saying Trump's campaign team was working with Russia,
Sure.
He's telling the truth. That did happen.
No,
Again,
he says there's plenty of evidence of Russia collusion.
we just gave you some. Trump lied about all of it.
Okay, but
he said I'm going to divest of all my interests because he was doing he was trying to get a licensing deal for Trump Tower Moscow, and he said he stopped working on that once he became president. Turns out the negotiations for that ended in 2018. He lied about that too. So he was working directly with the Russian government.
wait,
trying to
he
get a
lied about it to
licensing deal.
who?
He
Who are you
lied about it
saying
to
he
the
lied
American
to?
people. He said he was no longer working on that. He said
Wait,
they dropped that. But when Michael
let's
Cohen went
rewind.
to
You said
jail,
they
it came out that they hadn't stopped working on that till 2018.
Okay, dude, you're going way too fast here. See, this is but again, what I'm trying to say
you're going fast too.
What
Jeff.
I'm saying, yeah, but because here's my point to keep it simple for you, right? The people are only watching the media, seeing what Trump says and seeing what the people say about the media. So this is how the cycle goes. Media, something happens with investigations and things like that, right? Something gets leaked to the media, they come out with their narrative, and then Trump sees the narrative and then has to get on and retort their claims, right? And everything,
but he keeps being wrong. He keeps lying, Jeff. He keeps getting caught lying. When this happens, the media keeps getting it right, and Trump keeps lying, and that's where I'm confused by you, because you are
because they're spying
on
the man's campaign.
You correctly identify that it's important to know that the media is not all telling the truth, and you should think for yourself. And then you're just like, but then I stopped there, and I didn't do any more research. The media got it right almost every time, and almost every time Trump's response was a lie. And you're
wait, hang on. To be fair. Wait, hang on. No. Okay, so you're bringing up different. I'm trying to touch on one point at a time here. It's kind of hard with you. So, no, trust me. I know. I read the reports, Mueller and the Durham.
It's hard with someone
right?
up here. Guys, keep tapping the screen. We're almost to 300.
No, RTP. The way you already know. I think you're a great debater, and it's midday for me, so I'm not on my. I'm not smooth yet, but I'm getting there. Once I get on my first debate talk for about an hour, I start to warm up a bit. But when RTP is my first debate, it kind of it's a little bit stressful. But anyway,
I hear you.
But so anyway, can we agree to this, right? There's a narrative going on in the legacy media about Trump. Trump is trying to push his own narrative about what's going on to him via the FBI and what's going on with the investigations, right? The American people have no idea. They're just sitting in the middle, media saying Trump's colluding, Trump saying he's not. This is a bunch of bullshit, right? Now, You're right about the details. Let's say you're right about all that, okay? Which... honestly, I love to dig into it, but we don't have 5 hours right now.
You really wouldn't need that much time. We can do it another time, but it literally takes it seems like right now what you're arguing is that nobody researches anything, therefore they love Trump. But you also love Trump, and you don't know the details of any of these things too. So to me, it doesn't feel like you've done enough research to know whether or not Trump is lying to you, but you're convinced that he's not.
No, he's never. I've never saw Trump lie once. And trust me, people have brought up
things he lied about.
Okay, let's talk about the first one. Well, let's talk about one because I honestly, you're saying
he claimed that didn't happen.
Oh, wait, so what was the? Hang on, what was the original question and what was the claim?
That he had met with. So it got leaked that he had his team had met with a Russian lawyer to get dirt on Hillary Clinton.
Okay. Do you have actual the transcript or anything so I could listen to the actual the question that they asked him? Because this is
I don't know who the first person to bring it up was. I don't know who. Maybe there was another question asked first. But generally speaking, Trump. Either way, Trump said that meeting didn't happen.
He said that. Okay, so what was the? Again, I'm gonna need to see this. I don't believe you.
All
Not
right, so
because I
this
don't.
is
Because you
yeah,
know how
I'll
it
pull
goes.
it. Sure, yeah. Um, I didn't. This is Donald Trump from 2016. What's the date here? July
There's a good
27th.
one. Trump admits son met Russian for information on opponent. Like, that's the meeting we're talking
Yes.
about, right?
So
The Kremlin-linked lawyer Natalia Veselnitskaya.
yes, here's his quote
Yeah.
before that, and then read this. Read yours, Felice. But before this came out, the police are going to read. He said, "I did not know of the meeting with my son Don Jr. Didn't know about it."
Okay. What was the question though?
Let me see if I can find the what
I mean,
exactly
what
he
Jay
was
is saying is
asked.
he denied that the meeting happened, and then more, it came out that it couldn't be denied because the lawyer, Natalia, was basically saying that it did. And then this is tweets from him. Fake news reporting a complete fabrication that I am concerned about the meeting my wonderful son Donald had in Trump Tower. This was a meeting to get information on an opponent, totally legal and done all the time in politics, and it went nowhere.
So he
And then he
admitted.
said, I did not know about it.
Wait, in the same tweet?
Well, yeah, I'm reading this article. I
But
did not read the tweets, but
you
yeah,
said that
that's
you
what the,
added that last part. You
no,
said
I
he
mean, it's
did
in
not know
quotes.
about
It's in quotations. I'm reading you the quotes. It says,
it. Okay,
Mr.
so what
Trump
was the
tweeted.
date
These
on
are
it?
all quotations.
Hang on,
These are
I
all
know, no, you're reading
quotations.
from. But what
On
was the date?
Sunday, U.S. media, including Washington Post, CNN, and AP, reported that Mr. Trump was worried Donald Trump Jr. could be in legal trouble because of the June 9, 2016 meeting with Veselnitskaya in New York. They cited several unnamed sources. It doesn't say a date. It just says
Okay.
Trump tweeted.
Right. I don't.
So
So
after
again,
the fact,
you're getting.
because
You guys are getting
after the
close.
media was saying that he was worried about the meeting, then Trump
Yeah.
tweeted that stuff.
But RTB made a very specific claim here, though.
What was the specific claim you're talking about?
You said that
I'm
Trump is
confused.
a liar. He lied. He said at first
Did?
his son didn't
Oh,
have a meeting.
here it is. So this is what you was saying. So when the meeting was first reported by the New York Times, Donald Trump Jr. said in a statement that he and Ms. Veselnitskaya had mostly discussed a suspended program for Americans to adopt Russian children. So that was the first claim, right?
Okay. Right. And then that's not going to help your claim, though.
However, he
Especially.
subsequently admitted he had agreed to the meeting after being told he would be offered information that would prove detrimental to Mrs. Clinton. He also released the email exchange that brought about that meeting.
Okay, I agree to all this. Hang on. What I'm looking for is when Trump specifically
Well,
denied
listen to
that
this.
he
No, so
didn't
this is
have a
what Jay
meeting.
was saying. Okay, so we're getting to what Jay said. U.S. media then reported that the U.S. president had been involved in the initial statement his son issued on the meeting. This was initially denied by Trump's team, but his lawyers later confirmed that he had in fact dictated his son's statement.
Wait, so in regards to, okay, hang on.
So let me help here. So what
that's
happened is
that's a reach.
no. So the meeting happened.
No.
It was reported on. Trump said he didn't know about the meeting. Then and this was after Don Jr. put out a statement saying the meeting was about like adoptions, and Trump's like, well, I didn't know about the meeting, but I applaud my son for his transparency in his response. Right?
Wait, that's
Well,
not. But no, that's
hold
not
on,
what it
hold
said,
on.
though.
But hold on. But Trump, it turns
Yeah.
out, drafted that statement. I don't know how he could draft that statement and also hold to the stance that I didn't know about it.
Wait, so like, how do you? Okay, now you're gonna have to prove that Trump drafted that statement.
I believe they admitted it. I'm pretty sure. Let's see.
Yeah,
Find it.
anything. Give me something.
I found a
guys.
timeline. Hey, I found a timeline. So 8 July, sorry, this is from the BBC, so we say 8 first. 8 July, so
BBC.
July 8th, 2017. New York Times reveals the June 2016 meeting took place, and Trump Jr. releases a statement describing it as a short introductory meeting that focused on Russian adoptions. July 9th, 2017. The Times reports that Don Jr. was promised damaging information about Hillary Clinton before the meeting. He confirmed the report, but said in a second statement, quote, no meaningful information came from the meeting. July 11th, 2017, Mr. Trump Jr., so Don Jr., tweets screenshots of his email correspondence that discussed setting up the meeting just minutes before the email chain was revealed in a Times story. The emails showed he was eager to accept sensitive information that was part of Russia and its government's support for Mr. Trump. Then
I, I,
July
I,
12th through 16th, the president's lawyer denies that Mr. Trump was involved in his son's initial statement to the Times. So then Trump's lawyer comes out and says, "Oh, he
do you
didn't
see how
write
this
that
is
statement."
impossible to prove?
What are
You're already
what are you
doing it. You're
talking about?
using this is what you're using. Your sources using the
Oh my God.
BBC talking about
Jay,
another source about what Trump did. Like, I mean, that's about as far third hand as you can get. Like,
All right.
no,
I'm just looking for
these are press releases. You don't
by the
understand. These are
BBC about the New York
no,
Times
no, no.
about Trump. It's like a game of telephone with you
Wait,
guys.
dude, this is
Like,
how I don't know how you think stories get out there. How do stories get out there without the media reporting
wait,
them?
no, I agree. Wait, I'm not saying. Look,
No, that's all
everything
you're
you
saying.
said
All
is
you're
right.
saying is that this isn't Trump reporting it. This is the
These are
media
press
reporting it.
releases that can be
No,
looked up.
okay. No,
The
I agree.
president's
They're
lawyer denies that Mr. Trump was involved in his son's initial statement to the New York Times. These are factual things that happened. I'm
then
reading you a
okay.
timeline of
I'm
them.
still waiting for the lie, and if you can actually prove it.
Well, the lie that we're talking about now is that what we just said is that he first denied he knew anything about the statement or had dictated the statement to his son.
That's
Just
okay.
said
I want to.
the
I want to hear
president's
that.
lawyer,
Where did
Jay
you get that from?
Sekulow, denies that Mr. Trump was involved in his son's initial statement to the Times. That's what I'm trying to say. June 2nd,
Okay, wait.
2018. The
So
Times reports
when
that Mr. Trump's lawyers wrote a letter to Special Counsel Mueller acknowledging that he dictated his son's initial statement. Do you get it? That's a lie.
okay.
He
So
sent to Mueller changing his story
where's this letter
and said,
then? I want to see it.
actually, when it matters, when there's an investigation going on, here is the truth.
Okay,
Well,
like
Jeff,
guys,
you can
guys,
look.
I
Jeff, you
get
can
what you're
look up
doing,
that.
but
Jeff, you can look up
yeah.
that letter on yourself. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to sit here all day and read you stuff that we're researching while you try and find a way to not believe the evidence. Like, if you can't see at this point that this is just confirmation bias, you could be looking this stuff up. You could read all this stuff too. All you're looking for is a way that you can justify your continued support of Donald Trump. You're not offering counter evidence. And what you'll do is you'll just continuously ask for sources that you obviously can't see because you're not here with us and you're not looking it up on your own. And then you get to leave this conversation and still be like, well, they didn't prove anything to me. I told you this on your platform too. I think the way that you debate is you make sure you never have to admit anything. Like, that's your whole goal in a debate,
But
is to make
RTP,
sure
to
you
be
never have
fair,
to admit anything. But like,
wait,
Trump
now,
has
why are
already
you
said
why
that
you why are you
Trump
virtue
has already
signaling
said
right
that
now?
he lied about this stuff. This isn't something.
Wait,
we
let
should
me
even
just
have to
read the
debate
next
about.
thing in the timeline. Okay. Let me just read the next thing in the timeline.
See what they
So
do,
we
guys. If
just
they
said
can't prove something, you
no,
get mad at me.
Jeff, just no, Jeff, I'm not. We're not mad at you.
No, I
Just
know you're not
listen.
mad at me. I'm
So,
just giving you a hard time.
yeah. So Trump's lawyer then sent a letter to Mueller, Robert Mueller, saying, "Oh, actually, he did dictate Don Jr.'s statement." Then, on July 26, 2018, the president's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, says that Mr. Trump approved the June 2016 meeting, contradicting previous statements by the Trump legal team.
Okay, so Michael.
And then on
Okay, so
August 5th, 2018, the president says his son took the meeting to get information on opponent, but still denies having knowledge of it. Right? So he's lying.
oh, okay. So to be fair, we're honing. This is why I don't like to hone in on a single fact, right? Because and that's why I tell you, I do.
I know that you
Listen to
want
what I'm saying. Hear
that
me out.
part.
Hang on.
Yeah,
Here, no,
I know.
no. Hear me out. And here's why, right? Because this happens every single time someone has ever tried to prove that Trump lies, they can't. Like, it's the same thing
Just
over and over
did.
again.
We just did. But
No, you didn't.
no, but the problem is that your bar, like, I think your bar for Trump to have lied is he has to say it like to you, and then you have to prove it. Like, literally, this is his attorney saying, "Hey, yeah, we did know about that. Sorry, we lied." His attorneys are saying, "Yeah, he lied about that," and you're like, "Nobody can prove it." Well, if his attorneys are writing a letter that he has to approve, admitting that he lied about it, that's good enough for me. If that's not good enough evidence for you, fine. But like, don't try and tell me that this isn't a
Sure.
cult of personality thing, because your personal attorney saying like, "Yeah, sorry, we lied," that's good evidence,
Well,
Jeff.
I'm just trying to look. I'm trying to help you
Not good
like get
evidence.
into the mind. Look, I'm trying to
Is
help
that
you
not
get into
good
the mind of a
evidence?
Trump supporter. Well,
Listen,
it's. I mean,
I've
look,
been in a
it's.
cult. I've
it's
I've
okay.
done this before. I
I
know
mean,
what
no
it's like
offense.
to
You
be
had
in
to
the mind.
use. Well, hang on. No offense. You guys had to use like the BBC, like all these different, but you still couldn't like tie it together though.
No,
And then
no,
you get
Jeff,
mad at me for
no,
not
Jeff,
believing
we
you.
used
Jeff,
a letter that his attorney wrote.
There's
The BBC,
yeah, these are
You haven't
BBC
even
just
showed me a
reported
letter.
it. Well, you can't
Jeff,
see
You
it. You're
literally
not with
haven't
us.
shown
Jeff,
me a
there's
letter.
any number of sources.
I'll look up the
Like
letter,
the New
though.
York Times is
To
an
be fair.
authoritative source. Like this is not just stop saying the BBC. There is literally every single news outlet reported on this. Choose one that you know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
acting like this is not up for
I
debate.
don't.
Like a letter from an attorney, a legal letter that then was sent to Robert Mueller, who was the special counsel in charge of an investigation. That's a primary source, Jeff. We're not debating that.
But even that wouldn't. Okay, sure, that's a primary source, but that probably still wouldn't even prove
No,
Trump lied.
yeah, it does, because the New York Times that I'm staring at it right now posted the actual letter. They have a copy of the actual letter from his attorneys admitting that they lied. They have the source is Donald Trump's lawyers. And that's what I'm saying, dude. Like your bar for evidence is impossible. It's an impossible standard, and that's because you have built your personality around like I want to be a great debater and I want to be on the Trump side, and you've learned over time that if you're going to defend Trump, you can't admit to anything because there's way too many things, and that shit adds up. But like this is his
Admit to
attorneys
what?
writing a letter. I'm staring.
You
at
should
the letter
be
right
Donald
now.
Trump's press agent, Jeff.
Wait, what's the? Oh, I am the king of something. And by the way, oh God, I was gonna make a joke about the 99 problems. Never mind, I forget what it was. But anyway, I look, RTP. I get what you're saying, right? But like when it.
A video of Trump saying, "I don't know what happened. Like we just got cheated suddenly. The slot machines were paying out like never before. Nobody's ever seen anything like it." And it turns out none of that happened, Jeff. He was bleeding money, and he went on national TV and told people, "No, I'm not bleeding money. The slot machines cheated me. The machines cheated me." He does this.
Okay,
Does that
but where's
sound
the
familiar
lie?
to you, Jeff? Does that
Okay,
sound
but where's-
familiar?
Okay, yeah, but where's the lie? What's the lie? Tell me.
It turns out none of that happened. The machines didn't go down. They went and they
Oh.
did a review of the machines. They were able to go back and do a forensic review of the machines, because if that's the case, Donald Trump would be able to sue the manufacturers of the machines, or they would be
Are
able
you
to
pulling
show.
this story out of your ass, man?
Do you want me to play the clip
Come
of him
on.
saying it? No. See,
Yeah,
here's the
I want
thing.
because
Jeff,
that
it's a lie.
This is what he's done forever. He's always done this. Every time he's ever lost a case, he blames the media and claims some sort of conspiracy against him. You just don't go far enough. If you
Wait,
look at him
Trump
through his whole
Trump
life,
admitted.
these are just
RT
replays, dude. He's doing the same.
RTP,
he's
Trump
always done.
admitted. Hang on, Trump admitted the system was rigged. He said that he knows he's a part of it. That's why that was one of the reasons he wanted to
No.
run.
That has
Go
nothing
ahead.
to do with this. No, stay on
Ah,
subject. Has
well, honestly,
nothing
I
to do with
mean,
this.
to be fair though, I actually really do have to go though. To be fair.
That's fine. So do I. Let me wait.
I mean,
I
we
have
talked
a
about
couple.
one guy.
Wait, Jeffrey. Some people asked you some questions. Stay here for 1 second.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
This is from
Here we go.
Elisa, or it could be like I love you. What's ILYSA? I love you so.
I love you so.
I'm sorry if that's your name or if that was an acronym. I'm not sure. Jeff, if Trump is so charismatic, how has he not charmed 3 courts?
Elisa, yeah, that sounds right.
If he's so charismatic, how? Yeah, because I system is set aside differently than what people voting for Trump, right? I don't care if they're not charmed by him. I care that the American
truth matters
people
in court.
that,
That's the problem. The truth still matters.
well, I mean, it does it. I mean, there's an argument to be made for that too, but I hope it does. But
All right,
what was the next
this
question?
this one's from Sue. Jeff said he, meaning Trump, seems like an essayer. A question for Jeff. Jeff, do you believe he essayed E. Jean Carroll? If not, why?
No, I wouldn't look. That's what he was charged with. That's what we're gonna go with, right? But I think that it's there's a lot of questions
why is
around
that not
it.
disqualifying then? Why would you still vote for somebody
for president?
Yeah, why would you still vote for somebody who, in court, has been held civilly liable for that? Why would you still?
Oh, I mean, I haven't voted for him yet, so we'll have to see. But
you're still supporting him now.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't want our country to go to hell in a handbasket.
And you think the solution to that is to put somebody at the top that sexually assaulted a woman?
Well, I mean, again, he was already. Yeah, this happened before 2016. So I mean, he did a hell of a bang up job in 2016. So I think he can probably do it again.
Yeah, he lost more jobs than any president in history. All right, good answer.
Due to COVID.
I know, but I'm still gonna do it. For Jeff, if Biden did any of the things that Trump did, you'd flip out. I agree. I actually do agree with that. I think that all Republicans.
You would lose your mind, Jeff.
To be fair, like guys, like can I say something honest here? So I used to, like, you're right. Like back in the day, like I used to despise Biden for some reason. But guess what? I woke up and I'm like, look, he doesn't do anything. He's just a puppet. Like he's not the person pulling the strings. He's just an old dude that's doing the best he can, right? And he's had a hell of a life. He lost his son. Like anybody that's happened to would be tragic. So I actually don't dislike him anymore. Like I feel like he needs help and he shouldn't be president, but I don't think he's like a terrible person.
All right.
To be fair.
Crow and Arrow says they sent a donation and they said they are the actual greatest debater. Stop stealing. I don't know what that from my title, have some integrity. That's I don't know. I'm not sure.
How dare he? Yeah, people are coming after my title. I'm telling you right now. But you know what?
Also,
it's a cross that I was meant to bear.
One more from Debbie. Jeff only pivots, never answers. Pivot. That's fair. That's probably fair.
I don't think so.
You are the best.
You could do a clinic on pivots. Yeah, you could.
You would never get called for traveling.
For
You'd have that
political
strong
debates.
pivot game.
And no, to be fair, I've actually learned to actually stick on topic too, because you can't defeat me either way. It doesn't matter. Not you, but I mean you.
No, you did better today. I was really proud of your effort today. And then last question, Jeff, were you at the inauguration that was bigger than Obama's?
He was like,
because that was a lie too.
Wait,
yes, that was the most provable lie. Like there's photos, Jeff.
Big. Okay, well, wait, what?
Do you remember during that inauguration when it was raining and he got like a couple months later, he's like, it was the most amazing thing. Like as soon as I started speaking, the clouds parted and the sun came out. It was like a miracle. But then if you go watch the speech, it's just fucking raining the whole time. Like everybody's in ponchos. Like that didn't happen. And it wasn't the biggest inauguration. He lied about both of those things, right?
Well, we can talk about that, but I don't have time, honestly. But I mean, to be fair, when it comes to like the camera views, like they usually like edit shit, so I don't know. But
Yeah,
who knows?
he
Anyway,
was the one editing though. In this case, that was him that was editing.
maybe it was his lawyers editing, and then he signed an affidavit,
Yeah.
and they're gonna.
Wasn't it like
charge
Sean
somebody.
Spicer like screaming like it was the biggest inauguration ever?
Period. He just says period.
Lock
That's the
him up.
Republican way.
Ugh. All right, guys. Well, it's
You're well, bud.
any more questions, or it's been a
That was it. Thank you. Thanks for sticking around for a sec.
No, guys, can I say this? I don't know why people don't like to debate RTP. Like, it's a good debate. It's fun. Like, I don't see, I think you guys should do it more, and I'd like to see a lot more Republicans getting out there and debating RTP, guys. Okay, I need to see my champions in there.
Brother. Spread the message.
I got you guys.
They're not listening to me.
I'll try.
Thanks.
Well, I'm trying to lead by example, so
Appreciate
by
that.
example. All right, guys.
Bye.
All right, have a good one.
Later,
Bye.
Gator.
Later.
All right, let me make sure I got all the. Jen got
What?
one.
He's an enigma wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in
wrapped in a crunch wrap. All right, Jen wrote. So I haven't read this yet, but this is probably going to be terrible. A boy says to a girl, "Sex at my place?" "Yes, I sleep in a bunk bed with my bro. He thinks we're making sandwiches. We have to use the code word cheese, which means faster, and tomato means harder. Later on, the girl yells, cheese, cheese, tomato, tomato. The little bro says, stop making the sandwich. You're getting mayo all over my bed."
I don't know if that's a dad joke. That's more of like
A really creepy one. Thanks, Jen. My face is.
yeah. Let's
basically
find
red.
more weird things for like Jay to read. Like tomorrow, it should be like grocery lists or like just weird letters. Yeah, this is. I could see this going somewhere real.
That was awful. I don't know. I gotta go. Look, if any of you were waiting in the comments to debate, like, you can come back tomorrow. Don't wait for Jeff to come up. Don't be afraid to be the first person. You're welcome anytime. We're here from 8:30 a.m. till noon Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, except for sometimes we take a week-long break.
9:30 Pacific Standard.
Oh yeah, 9:30. Thank you. That's right. It used to be 8:30. 9:30 to 1 Pacific Standard Time. Come back tomorrow. Even if we're talking about a story, debates are welcome at any time. Just jump in the box, message Jen. She'll let you know. That's it. We really missed you. I hope you enjoyed the extra 26 minutes today. Felice, any closing remarks?
No, same. It's good to be back, and we will